I was on my way to Julia's house for a study sesh when out of nowhere, I found myself flying onto the ground. I was so stunned, I didn't even see the ball that had hit me, or the fact there was a cute guy rushing over to check if I was okay. He helped me up and apologized. Then he pulled a Band-Aid out of his bag. Oh my, who is he? I'd scraped my hand pretty badly, but I almost didn't mind because now I was face to face with a gorgeous guy. In fact, I was so busy staring at him and blushing that I didn't even notice Julia marching towards us.
What are you two doing?
Turns out the cute guy was Callum, Julia's boyfriend. Ugh, Julia. Of course. Every nice thing is always hers. I'm Jenny, by the way, and that lucky girl is Julia. She's the daughter of the richest guy in town, Mr. Walsh. We're supposed to be friends, but we honestly have nothing in common. I mean, my family is pretty poor. It's not our fault, though. My dad sadly passed away, and so it's just me and my mom trying to make ends meet. Julia, on the other hand, has a silver spoon shoved down her throat. But fate still brought us together. I know it's kind of wrong, but that night I couldn't stop thinking about Callum. He now, in fact, gave me motivation for the next study session with bossy Julia, as maybe he would be there again. I even put on makeup and skipping on the way to her house the next day. But, well, it was all for nothing, because Callum was nowhere to be seen. Instead, I had to sit and listen to Julia go on and on about her trip to Paris. I pretended that I was okay, but actually, I always dreamed of visiting the city of light and gazing up at the Eiffel Tower ever since watching Emily in Paris. Dream on, Jenny. Anyway, Julia was incessant. She loved making me look like a fool, and even said, "Aw, poor Jenny. Maybe one day you'll get to go to Paris. But until then, you can just look at all my photos." Honestly, why was she so cruel to me? Last year around my birthday, she'd even shown me a fashion magazine and asked me which dress I liked best. I thought she was buying gifts for me, but instead, she showed up at my party in the exact dress I pointed out. I couldn't believe it. She just winked at me and laughed, and I seriously wanted to scream at her. Anyway, after looking at about 1 billion Paris pics, Mr. Walsh appeared. He looked happy to see us sitting so close and studying together. If only he knew the truth. But I had to pretend I had a lot of fun with Julia and helping her study, at least for his sake. Mr. Walsh was a good friend of our family, and ever since my dad passed away, he'd been looking out for me, and was even paying my school fees. I couldn't let him down. But you know what? I actually started to get excited to go over to Julia's now, as the thought of bumping into Callum again gave me butterflies. I even got myself a new hairstyle, but he was never there, and I always left feeling disappointed. Then one time, after school, it started to rain dogs and cats, and I had to run for it. Then suddenly I felt an umbrella over my head. Guess what? It was Callum coming to the rescue. It was like something out of a romantic movie. He even offered me a lift home. My heart was racing so hard I was afraid he'd hear it. I just sat there in silence, dripping rain all over his clean car. I even caught him looking over at me a few times, and my heart felt like it was going to leap out of my chest. He pulled up at my house, so I was about to get out when he touched my arm and said, "Can I get your number?" I was confused. I mean, wasn't he Julia's boyfriend? He then explained that he was just hired to be her fake boyfriend so that all the flirty boys would get out of her way. Wow, I couldn't believe it. He asked me to keep it a secret, as Julia would end us both if this story got out. Okay, it all made sense now. That's why he never came over to her house. I felt so happy. Over the next few days, Callum and I chatted a lot on the phone, and then eventually he asked me out on a date. We went to the fun fair, and right away he held my hand. It made me feel so special, and I never wanted him to let go. We were having so much fun. Then a familiar voice pierced the air. "Well, well, well. Isn't that my dear friend, Jenny?" I felt dread rush through my whole body. We turned around, and there was Julia and her girl gang all standing there with their arms crossed. Callum dropped my hand and rushed to Julia's side. "It was all her, babe. You gotta see the messages she sent. She's been flirting with me for weeks. It's pathetic." Whoa, Was he for real? A second ago, he was about to lean in for a kiss, and now he was bad-mouthing me? How could he be so two-faced? I tried to explain to Julia, but she wouldn't listen. She just called me a traitor in front of everyone, and told all her friends to lock up their boyfriends in case I try it on with one of theirs next. I was devastated. Everyone was staring at me and judging me. Ugh, if only I could vanish into thin air right now. And as I was thinking about where I could escape to, a guy appeared, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me away. It was Stefan, the guy who lived across the road from me. I didn't understand why he helped me, but I was so grateful that he did. He walked me home and tried to cheer me up by saying how his mom used to love our bakery so much, and that the carrot cake my mom made was his mom's fave. This made me smile, thinking back on all those happy times in our family bakery. When my dad had died, we'd had to sell it to pay off some debt, and life had become quite difficult. Luckily, Mr. Walsh was helping out, but after what just happened with Julia, I wasn't sure I'd be able to face him. The next day at school, everyone was staring at me. I couldn't even find a place to sit at lunch. What had I done? I'd ruined everything. And then it got worse. My phone beeped. It was Mr. Walsh. He said he was so disappointed in me and that I no longer needed to come and tutor his daughter. I wanted to cry, and at the same time I felt so much relief. But then I read on and he said, "I'm sorry, but I can't keep my promise anymore. I'll continue to subsidize your school fees, but you'll have to figure something out for college. Good luck." My heart plummeted. Not only had I been shunned by everyone at school and backstabbed by Callum, but now the door to college was being slammed in my face too. What would I do? My life was over. I felt so sick. I just walked out of the canteen and went home. I didn't dare go to school over the next few days. I was miserable. And just when I'd given up all hope, there was a knock at my door. It was Callum. What was he doing here? He said he was sorry for what had happened and that he missed me so much. Then he asked me if I'd be interested in being his secret girlfriend. What in the world? I was so angry, I wanted to slam the door in his face, but he was fast enough to catch my hand, which took me aback. At that exact moment, Stefan happened to walk past. Seeing me standing there with Callum, his face changed and he immediately walked away. Oh, no. I definitely couldn't let him misunderstand anything about me anymore. He's the only friend I had left. I yanked my arm away from Callum and chased after Stefan. I finally caught up with him and blurted out how I'd been feeling like the whole world was against me and that I didn't know what to do. He told me to calm down, then we went to sit on a bench in the park, as he let me confide everything in him. By the time I finished talking, I was on the verge of tears. Then he said, "Listen, Jenny, you're better than this. Don't dim to fit in with those people at your school. Good people will see you for the real you. You're strong, and you can get through anything. I know you can." He was right. I was better than this. I didn't need to sink as low as Julia and her friends, and I certainly didn't need to rely on Mr. Walsh's money. I'd figure this out by myself, like I always did. So I applied for a part-time job at a coffee shop. Earning my own money felt so good. Suddenly I felt free, and I knew everything was going to be okay. But then one day when I was working, Julia and her gang came in. They still weren't over what happened, and in front of everyone, they brought up what I'd done to humiliate me, and they even recorded it, and I couldn't stop shaking. This was too much. That's when I threw a cup of coffee all over Julia and ran out of there. Julia shouted after me that she was going to tell my mom everything I'd done. Without a doubt, Julia really did it. She even sent my mom photos of me and Callum at the fair. And well, my mom didn't take it well. I rushed home to try and explain after Mom yelled at me over the phone. But then I couldn't find Mom anywhere. I called her phone and a man answered. He said my mom was in a hospital after she fainted? Oh dear good God! I got to the hospital immediately and found out that she had collapsed from shock, but thankfully she was okay. She had to stay in the rest of the day to be monitored, so I went to get us both a cup of coffee. That's when I saw him. Callum. He was in the ward next door sitting with some girl. I almost dropped the coffee out of shock. They looked close. I waited until he'd left, and then I went to ask the girl if Callum was her boyfriend. Well, turns out they'd been dating for 2 years already. So he was triple cheating? The girl deserved to know the truth, so I took a deep breath and told her everything. She was so upset. We decided to get our own back. So the girl called Callum and asked him to come back. As soon as he arrived, we confronted him and got the truth once and for all. He was never Julia's real boyfriend. In fact, here's the shocking part. He was hired by Julia to pretend to date me and ruin my life. Apparently, she was jealous of how much attention her dad gave me since my dad had died, and that her dad constantly compared her to me. He kept apologizing to his girlfriend, saying how much he loved her, and that he only agreed to help Julia so that he could earn some money to help pay for her medical bills. I was stunned. Callum was so apologetic and said he'd come clean about everything. He posted it on the school forum to clear my name, and to everyone to see the ugly truth about Julia. And of course, when Mr. Walsh saw it, he made her come and apologize to me. And he also apologized himself and offered to pay my college fees again. Do you think I accepted his offer? Of course not. I was standing on my own feet now, and there was no going back. I didn't need anyone's help. So you might be wondering how I could afford college. Surely not on my coffee shop salary, right? Well, after graduating high school, I realized how much I missed the bakery. That was where I truly felt happy. So I decided to study to become a pastry chef, and now my mom and I have opened a new bakery. I've never been happier. And there's one last thing I want to share. Oh, in fact, here he is. Hey, Stefan, I've made your mom's fave. Let's go surprise her. I couldn't stop smiling as Stefan took the carrot cake, kissed my cheek, and we headed for his car. Life is so much more simple now, and sweet, and I love it.
Five, 6, 7, 8. Wow, honey, you're so good. Oh no, now I'd lost count. How long had she been standing there for? Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. Can you teach me some moves? I hesitated, but I didn't want to sound mean, so, sure, Carol, come in. I'll show you some of the basics. I did some simple moves for her to follow, but, oh man, she was awful. Seeing an out-of-shape, middle-aged woman attempting front lunges and high Vs isn't something you see every day. But I did appreciate that she was putting the effort into getting to know me. Oh, sorry. You must be wondering why I was calling my mom by her first name. Well, she's actually not my mom. She's my stepmom. You see, my mom passed away when I was 10. Then last year, when I turned 15, Dad started seeing someone again with help of a matchmaker. And he thought it was important for me to have a mother figure, and that's how we ended up marrying Carol. I enjoyed having bonding time with Carol, but it quickly became kinda uncomfortable. She watched me practice my cheerleading moves every night, started up conversations about the boys at my school, and she insisted on binge-watching TV series with me. Yeah, you all must know how awkward it is having an adult sitting next to you while there's some romantic kissing scene on the screen, right? Jesus, I needed my privacy. Then one time, I arrived home from school to find her in my room, going through my makeup. Donna, sweetie, how exactly do you use this? Okay, so this was a bit too much. She's crossing some lines here, messing around with my stuff without asking, but I couldn't bring myself to get mad at her either. You see, Carol is the definition of an ideal housewife. She's such a kind-hearted woman, and she always kept the house immaculate and cooked delicious meals. Maybe she spent so much time doing this that she didn't have any time to take care of her appearance? Hey, everyone deserves to feel beautiful, right? So I showed her how to apply makeup. Carol, you do so much for Dad and me, so I think it's about time you treated yourself. How about we go to the mall tomorrow? I would love to. I thought I was doing something nice for her. Little did I know, this was the start of something crazy. The next day at the mall, I took her into a clothing store where women her age shopped. I held up a nice blouse, but she shook her head. Then, to my utter dismay, she insisted we go into the Pull&Bear store next door. But Carol, that's for teenagers! but she still marched us in there. Then she pointed at an outfit and asked me if I could try it on for her. I wanted today to be about her, not me. But okay, as long as she's happy. I stepped out of the dressing room and twirled, and the store staff immediately complimented me. Then Carol suddenly turned to the staff and asked them to get the exact dress in size XL. What? Was she going to wear that too? Carol coyly stepped out from behind the curtain and asked, "So, what do you think?" I froze for a moment. I mean, look at her. She looked ridiculous, but I couldn't tell her that, so I reluctantly gave her a thumbs up. And just like that, Carol bought us both the exact same dress. But there's more. She suggested that we both wear them right now, while we were still in the mall. I spluttered out, shouldn't we save them for a special occasion? But her mind was made up. So, there we were, daughter and stepmom walking through the mall in matching dresses. I could feel all eyes were on us. We even ran into one of my friends, and she mistook Carol for my cousin. At least, that was until she saw Carol's face. That poor girl looked like she'd just seen Annabelle. Carol sure was flattered, as on the way home she beamed as she said, "To think, your friend thought I was your cousin. I should dress like you more often. It takes years off me." And I kid you not, she actually meant it. From that moment onward, she started dressing like a teenage girl. Or, to be precise, like me. Exactly like me. Apparently, I was the only one finding it weird in the house, because my dad said nothing. I needed to talk to her, or else someone at school would see me and make fun of me. So that evening, I went downstairs to see Carol sitting on the couch reading some magazine. I took a deep breath and said, Carol, can we? Oh, hi, sweetie. Look, I'm choosing a cake for your upcoming birthday party. I hope that's okay. Oh no, why is she always so sweet and kind? This made me feel so bad. She's doing so much for me, and all I do is complain. So obviously, I didn't bring up the subject of her copying my style. That's just trivial, right? Instead, I sat next to her and we talked about the birthday party. Then she showed me some pretty dresses on her phone and asked me to pick one for my party. I really like this one. Carol smiled. Oh, that looks lovely. Great choice, sweetie. Imagine how stunning we'll look in these. We? Oh no, not again. It had to be now or never to talk to her about this. Carol, I don't think we... But at that exact moment, my dad arrived back from work. What are you two still doing up so late? Before I could say anything, Carol ran over to him. Donna and I are going to wear this dress on her birthday. What do you think? Great. Anything that makes my ladies happy. I couldn't go through the humiliation of being dress buddies with Carol for one more time. On my special day, I needed to do something. I had a plan, but the timing had to be faultless. So, on the day of my party, when Carol was ironing her dress, I rushed in and told her that the delivery guy had just dropped off the wrong cake. Carol freaked out and ran downstairs immediately. Ha! It worked! Now, let's get started. And, well, 10 minutes later, as expected, we all heard a loud scream coming from upstairs. Dad and I rushed in and saw Carol sitting on the bed crying into the dress. Darling, what's wrong? She held up the dress. Look, it's ruined! There was an iron-shaped burn mark on it. Yep, you guessed it. It was all me. When Carol left the room, I turned the iron's temperature to max. My God, I really had to pinch myself trying not to laugh. But suddenly, Carol turned to me and in a serious voice said, "You need to change to another dress." What? She can't be serious, right? It's okay, Carol. You can just wear another dress. I don't mind. No, it's not okay. We've planned this. Go get the blue one that we both have. Listen, I don't think we should dress the same. It's just weird. Then my dad jumped in. There's no time to argue. The guests are already waiting downstairs. So Donna, go get changed. Ugh, unbelievable. It was so embarrassing. All my relatives were complimenting us, but I knew they were really laughing inside. My friends, on the other hand, were sniggering and telling me we looked like a budget version of the Olsen twins. I thought that day was already a nightmare, but then it got extremely annoying when she even started to copy my behavior. One evening, my boyfriend Thomas came over and we were all eating pizza in the living room. I took a bite and said, "OMG, delish!" And the next thing I knew, Carol was quoting those words of mine as she sipped on her Diet Coke. Cringy! Then later, when Thomas had to leave, I walked him to the door and I squeezed his cheeks as a cute little goodbye, since we couldn't exactly kiss or anything in front of my parents, obviously. But guess what? Just under 5 minutes later, Carol suddenly sat closer to my dad and did the exact same thing to him. It was so weird, and my dad wasn't really impressed either. But here comes the worst part. A few days later, my friend had sent me a link to Carol's TikTok account. Oh my days! It was a video of my dad, and it had thousands of likes! Then suddenly I heard noises coming from downstairs.
Carol? Carol!
Carol scampered out of the kitchen looking clueless.
What's wrong, honey? What's wrong? My colleague just sent me a video of you playing a prank on me. Everybody has seen it. Even my boss, my customers, everyone! How am I supposed to go to work now? Ruining my career. Is that what you want? So much for being an accident.
Yep. The video I was talking about was this one, where Carol baked a fruitcake for my dad and then smashed his face into it. Then, when he looked up, he had 2 strawberry slices stuck to his eyes. He kinda looked like that creepy clown from the movie It. She uploaded it on her TikTok account, and it instantly got viral. I played that prank on my friend a while ago at our slumber party, but I didn't expect that Carol would copy it.
Get out of my house!
My dad's shout took me aback, while Carol burst into tears and begged,
Please, honey, don't do this. I'm sorry.
But my dad didn't listen and just told her to pack and stay out of his sight immediately. As she started to move, I grabbed her arm. Carol, wait. I know that you've been copying my clothing style and my behavior, and now this TikTok. But you must have a reason for that, right? Carol nodded, so I calmed Dad down, and we sat down with her as she sobbed out,
My first husband often made fun of my dreary appearance. He even banned me from going to his family events, as he said the way I looked was embarrassing for him. Then eventually, he couldn't stand looking at me anymore, so he handed me the divorce papers. Now I'm with your father. I worry he too will get irritated by my looks, and I'll be abandoned again. But he adores you. Therefore I thought that if I tried to be more like you, then he'd adore me too.
My God, Carol's ex is such a jerk. How could anybody want to get a divorce just because their partner didn't have the best dressing sense? I hugged her tightly and said, Nobody's going to abandon you. You're a part of this family. But how about we find you a new style of your own, instead of copying mine, okay? Carol nodded at me with a light smile while still sniffling. My dad eventually calmed down, apologized for overreacting, and came over to join us in the hug. So after that, I started helping Carol with the house chores so she had more time to spend on herself. I showed her how to style her hair, helped her pick out some stylish clothes, and sent her the links to some videos on makeup tips. Now she has her own chic image going on. She kind of reminds me of Martha Stewart. I always thought my stepmom was bonkers, but turns out everyone's got their own story, right? And we should get to know them first before jumping into Oh, it's been more than a year, and this place is still exactly the same, I thought to myself. Suddenly, I noticed a man walking in front of me. He looked so familiar. Could it be him? Alex! I rushed after him and grabbed his arm. He's so gonna catch these hands. But as he turned around, oops, I realized it wasn't Alex, but a total stranger. Martin Henderson? I was so embarrassed that I couldn't even look him in the eyes. Sorry, I murmured as I ran towards the elevator. This must be fate. We meet again. I was standing outside the building when I heard a voice. I turned around and there he was, the guy I met this morning. Hi, I'm Martin, he said, and reached out to shake my hand. Before I could react, I heard someone calling me. It was Tom, my best friend from Vietnam. I had a lunch date with him, but I'd almost forgotten. Oh, I'm Lindsay. Great seeing you. Then I quickly said bye to Martin and rushed over to Tom. Lindsay, how's your new job going? And who is that guy back there? I felt so sad as he asked me this. I don't actually know him. He just looks so much like someone from my past. Tom rolled his eyes. Someone from your past? Oh, come on. Don't tell me it was that pathetic boyfriend of yours who abandoned you in Vietnam. Well, what could I say? Despite what Alex did to me after all this time, I still couldn't get him out of my head. Tom could clearly sense that as he said, Honestly, Lindsay, you need to get over him. He was a total jerk. Suddenly, all of the memories of our time together came flooding back. A year ago, Alex and I had gone on an adventure to Vietnam together. We'd been planning it for ages, and it would be a long one, since we wanted to explore the country as much as possible. At first, everything was going to plan, but then, one morning, a stupid argument led us to a big fight that got Alex so angry that he up and left. I thought he just needed to blow off some steam and then he'd be back, so I just carried on with the trip on my own in the meantime. But days quickly passed, and there was no sign of him. And ever since then, I haven't seen or heard from him. It's like he just disappeared into thin air. Anyway, I had to pay for everything on the trip by myself, including stuff that we reserved for two. So I quickly ran low on cash. And what's left in my bank account couldn't afford me a trip back home either. So I asked my mom if I could borrow some. And that's when she told me what had happened. My family was in huge trouble due to some food scandal at their restaurant. The case was really serious, and they'd gone totally bankrupt. So my mom just told me to stay put in Vietnam for a bit, until things had calmed down. Well, that's how I ended up being stuck in Vietnam for a whole year, and the rest is history. I turned to Tom and smiled. He'd been so good to me. Tom, thank you for helping me find a job back then. You're a lifesaver. Tom grinned and said, No, I should thank you. Actually, you're the reason why I strive to be here in the U.S. getting my master's degree. And you know what? I still want to be the one by your side. Always. Jeez, it was a bit awkward. I didn't know what to do but force a polite smile. Yeah, I could tell he had some sort of feelings for me, but I only considered him as a best friend. And look, at the moment, I had enough on my plate already. So here I am now, at the company that used to belong to my family to help my parents solve this scandal with their restaurant. I know the claims aren't true, and I'm determined to help them figure it out so they can get their business back. Until then, I have to deal with working under the new CEO, Mr. Garcia.
Well, well, hello, precious princess of the Stewart family.
Oh, Mr. Garcia, it's been a long time not seeing those greedy eyes.
What an honor for us to have the daughter of the former CEO as an employee.
I forgot to mention, but guess what? That rude man just happens to be Alex's uncle. So yeah, that's been fun. And there's something I just can't get out of my head. Alex's disappearance happened at the exact same time as my family's business collapsed. Coincidence or... I'd get to the bottom of it though. Ever since then, I put a lot of effort into my work, hoping to find some clues. But Mr. Garcia just never fails to give me endless trouble. Luckily, Martin was by my side. Yep, that's right. That guy I'd bumped into on my first day of work. He'd been so supportive, even bringing me dinner when I work overtime. I mean, how sweet. And the more time I spent with him, the happier I became. There was just something so familiar about him. Tom, however, wasn't happy about this. He'd applied to be an intern at our company, but he worked in the files control department. Tom was so rude to Martin every time they bumped into each other, and it made me feel so uncomfortable. One time, Martin had offered me a lift home, and Tom forced me to go with him instead, saying it would be safer. He was being so immature. But I didn't have time to focus on that, because there were bigger things at stake. One day, I found out there was a clue that could lead me to the truth. A top-secret document that was kept in the files control department. It contained all the business activities from before my family went bankrupt, and also the deals of how Mr. Garcia went about taking over the company. I needed to get to this document. However, there was just one problem. The only person who could access the computer where this document was stored were members of Alex's family. Big problem, right? Anyway, one night, Tom and I were out to dinner, and he was acting really weird. Suddenly, he said, "Lindsay, you should stay away from Martin. There's something shady about him." This annoyed me. "Tom, I don't get it. What's your problem with him?" "Please listen to me first." Then, he told me what he'd seen. One night, he'd gone back to work as he'd forgotten his phone, and he happened to see Martin trying to access top-secret documents. "Request access," Martin had said. "Kindly provide the access code." The server responded. "Alexei Joseph Garcia," he said confidently. And then the iris scanner started working. "Welcome, Mr. Garcia. Access granted." Tom had watched all of this from behind the door quietly, and with just a few clicks, Martin had successfully accessed all the top-secret files without a problem. Then he'd quickly left through the back entrance. I couldn't believe it! If it was only the Garcia family who had access, how had Martin done this? And how did he know Alex's full name? Well, I needed to pay more attention to this guy. At least he'd gotten the file anyway. That was good enough for me. I had to get it from him. A few days later, I pretended my laptop was broken and asked if I could borrow his to send a few emails. I quickly checked his files, but couldn't find anything. Where could he be keeping them? Then one day, I saw him slip a USB drive into his bag. Well, that's suspicious. Maybe that was what I needed. That afternoon, I asked him out for coffee, and then I decided to drop my phone so that I could find a way to reach into his bag and get the USB. Unfortunately, it didn't go to plan. I ended up knocking over my coffee cup, and it went all over Martin's sleeve. He always wore long sleeves, even on roasting hot days. But of course, the coffee had gone everywhere, so he quickly pulled up his sleeve. And that's when I saw it. A scar running up his arm. I gasped. "How did you get this scar? It looks exactly like my ex's." Alex had the same scar. Before I could say anything more, Martin snapped and said, "What scar?" Then he quickly pulled his sleeve down. "Don't lie to me, Martin. I saw it." And I know there's something sketchy about you. Why did you access the server room at 10 p.m.? And how did you know Alex's full name? Tell me who you are. I knew there was something familiar about you. Just tell me the truth. Yes, it's me, Alex. He spoke hesitantly, then asked me to calm down, but I couldn't stand it. My heart stopped for a few beats. How could you do this? I screamed. Did you and your uncle plan this all along? Lindsay, let me explain. I got plastic surgery, but it's not what you think. I'm on your side. I want to overthrow my uncle and get the company back for your family. Please believe me. Then Martin, or should I say Alex, told me the whole story. It turns out Mr. Garcia planned the whole thing to sabotage my family's business, and he took advantage of Alex to help do this. He, Mr. Garcia, even made up a story that there had been a feud between our two families, and that my dad had tried to bankrupt Alex's family, which pushed his parents to the brink of desperation. Of course, this made Alex angry, as he was protective of his family, and it nurtured in him a strong craving for revenge. But after helping his uncle take over my family's business, he discovered not only that Mr. Garcia wasn't his uncle, but that he, Alex, was also an orphan. Apparently, Mr. Garcia didn't have any biological relation to Alex, nor did he know anything about Alex's late parents. That spiteful man just manipulated people in any way to his advantage. Alex was disgusted that he'd been used and lied to like this, so he set out to get revenge on his so-called uncle by changing his identity and bringing everything to light to give justice to my family. He then showed me everything he got from the secret files. All the dirty tricks Mr. Garcia had used to sabotage and take over the company. He'd even been leading the company down a dark path through lots of illegal antics. But then Alex told me that before becoming Martin, he'd bought a number of shares, and now he would transfer them to me so I could take back my family's company. I couldn't believe it. I immediately showed all the evidence to the board of directors, and right away, everything was resolved. Finally, Mr. Garcia was not only kicked out of the company, but he was also sent to prison for his unethical business practices. And it was all thanks to Alex. The person I'd held a grudge against the most had been the one to help me get back all that was lost. As for Alex and I, well, it's clear we still have feelings for each other, but after everything we've been through, I think it's best if we give it some time before we jump back into a relationship. Plus, Tom admitted he likes me, which of course was obvious, but I don't want to upset him. Only time will tell if Alex and I are meant to be.
This was like a dream come true. That gorgeous man in front of me is Ethan, my crush since I was just 14. Back then, Ethan was my dad's business partner, so he'd often come over to our house for dinner. For years, I adored him in secret. But now, at 19, I could finally be honest about my feelings. So, when I ran into him by chance in the grocery store, I felt like it was meant to be. He invited me for a drink in the cafe nearby, and we instantly hit it off. We started dating, and now we're an official couple. There's just one thing that worries me. Ethan is recently divorced and has a 10-year-old daughter, Clarice, who he has full-time. While daydreaming, I couldn't hide away from the thought of being someone's stepmom. Oh my, I didn't want to become a mom yet. Don't worry, Clarice is a cute kid. I just know you two will get along. Clarice gave me a devious smile the moment she saw me.
Another fish got hooked.
Huh? Hey, that's not the right manner. Apologize, now! Ethan immediately said. Clarice let out a loud, ugh, then reluctantly apologized. Great!
When has it ever been easy to be friends with a naughty 10-year-old girl? I understand this better than most, as I have a little sister. She's either giving me a headache or crazing at me for candy, and I could tell that Clarice was gonna be no different. One day, Ethan called me in a panic, saying he had an urgent business trip.
They informed me at the very last minute. I didn't have time to find a babysitter. Can you help me take care of Clarice for a few days?
What? I've only just met the girl, and now I have to mind her for a few days? I still didn't know what to say when Ethan continued.
I'll make it up to you after this.
And then, the next thing I knew, Clarice was at my front door. Oh gosh, somebody help me! Well, you know those girls that age, like my little sister? I kept pouring out while Mike just smiled and slightly shook his head. I have to make her like me to win over Ethan. So, lovely Mike, can you please come hang out with us? Seriously? Please? Aren't you good with the ladies? Fine. You know I can't say no to you. I took Clarice to a theme park. She frowned the moment she saw Mike. Who's this? I don't like strangers. I smiled and said, "This is Mike. He's really cool and I don't care." Cindy, what kind of situation did you drag me into? Man, I had to ask myself that question. This wasn't what I envisioned it to be. The outing turned into a competition between them. Clarice challenged Mike to play game after game with her until she won. In the end, they played with the water guns, and I knew for sure Mike let her win. But as soon as he let go of his water gun, Clarice squirted water all over him, leaving him completely drenched. Oops. What on earth is this? That's the price for the loser. Okay, Cindy, that's enough. Have fun. And he stormed off. Oh no, what have I done to him? I stood there dumbfounded, staring at Clarice. Okay, so it was kind of funny, but I couldn't laugh at my poor friend. I want ice cream. Clarice grinned, then skipped away. Ice cream. A girl after my own heart. On the way home, we talked so much about her fave show, The Babysitter's Club, and how Stacy is her favorite character. Maybe the day wasn't so bad after all. A few days later, Ethan returned, and I was really excited to see him.
Thank you so much for taking care of Clarice.
Meanwhile, I noticed Clarice was slowly backing out, with an awkward look on her face. I thought she'd be as happy as me to see him, but it didn't seem that way.
Darling, are you okay? Are you sick?
I'm okay. I need to go to my room. After that, at dinner, the question, "Are you sick?" was raised no less than 10 times, and it made me feel sick too. I said I'm not sick, and I don't want to see a doctor. Ethan, I think Clarice is fine, so maybe stop asking her. Hearing that, Ethan seemed uncomfortable and turned away. Weird. What was wrong with them? Maybe this was just something they did. Whatever it is, I wasn't enjoying this heavy atmosphere. The next day after lunch, Clarice was helping me clean the table while Ethan was packing to go on his next trip. She insisted on washing the dishes while I said goodbye to Ethan. We were hugging in the doorway when suddenly I heard a loud scream coming from the kitchen. Ethan and I both rushed in there and saw Clarice crying as she gripped her hand. Ethan frantically asked, "What happened?" while I quickly searched for a first aid kit. I was washing the dishes, but I accidentally cut my hand. Cindy, I'm sorry. I wasn't being careful. Please don't punish me. What? What was she talking about? Ethan seemed to have the same question as me. Cindy always makes me do the chores. She told me if I do them badly, I can't have dinner. Huh? Why was she saying things that weren't true? Turning pale with shock, I muttered out, "No, that's not true. I don't want to stay here. Dad, let me go home." Clarice interrupted me as she was crying harder.
I'm so sorry, but I have to go now. I don't even know if you're lying or not.
How can you say that to me? Clarice shouted. You monster! Then she ran upstairs. I stood there not knowing what to do. My brain couldn't process what just happened. Ethan looked at me and sighed. Why didn't he say anything? He didn't honestly think I was capable of doing that. Did he? I decided I needed to confront Clarice about this. So I went up to her room and calmly said, "Clarice, why did you say that?" "You forced me to do all the chores." "What? How can you lie like that? I never do such a thing." "Oh, but are people gonna believe you or a poor little girl?" Oh my God. There was me, thinking she was a sweet kid, when in actual fact, she was the complete opposite. I rushed outside and, shaking, I pulled my phone out. I called Mike and told him everything. "Oh boy, that kid is complicated. Maybe she doesn't want you to be with her dad. But even so, what she did was weird. I think you should stay away from them." But how to? I couldn't just run away. Besides, Ethan was on his trip, again, and I was in charge of her. So I kept my distance, no more talking or having fun. But it seemed that Clarice had other ideas. I was watching TV in the living room when Clarice appeared and pulled my shirt. "Cindy, I want you to play video games with me." The more silent I was, the harder she pulled. "No, Clarice, I'm not in the mood," I shouted. "Go play by yourself." Then I walked off. A few minutes later, Cass, a senior student, came over to give me some documents. We sat down and had some iced tea. Then suddenly, bam! And a cry. Oh no! Cass and I rushed to the noise. Clarice had fallen down the stairs in the basement and was surrounded by the laundry basket and dirty clothes. Cass quickly ran down there and helped her up. "Are you okay? What happened?" "Cindy told me to do the laundry in time. The basket was so full, so I slipped." No! I screamed inside my head when Cass gave me a concerned look. "Cass, please, I'll explain later. Can you please leave?" "Why?" I screamed at Clarice's face the moment Cass left. "If you don't play with me, you'll be a child abuser. You'll have to go to jail." Ugh, this is driving me crazy. Just a few days ago, she wanted her dad to take her away from here, and now she's blackmailing me for not playing with her? Right at that moment, Ethan called. "Hi, Cindy. I just want to check on you too. Is Clarice sick or anything?" Ugh, what on earth is this? Am I crazy? Or are these two actually weird? OMG. I need Mike. Now. "Please, take me away from here," I said as I opened the door for Mike. "Stop!" Clarice shouted. "You two can't go anywhere." "Oh, now you're telling me what not to do?" "If you go, I'll tell the whole world how badly you've been treating me. You'll both go to jail." "So that's your scam?" Her smirk disappeared. She turned pale and stuttered. No, it was my dad's." "Your dad's scam?" Clarice looked flustered as she realized what she had just blurted out. Then she quickly covered it up. "Nothing!" Mike sat down and looked at her with stern eyes. I stood there, waiting for the answer. My daddy made me!" Eventually, Clarice confessed. Turns out, Ethan was a professional scammer who scams young, wealthy girls into giving him money. Worse, he dragged his daughter into his scheme. The plan went like this. He used his handsome looks to flirt with the girls, then Clarice's cuteness to get the girls' empathy. After that, he would go on some last-minute business trip and ask them to take care of Clarice. Meanwhile, Clarice would pretend to be seriously sick. When Ethan arrived back, he would persuade the girls to hand over money for hospital fees, then he and Clarice would disappear out of their lives. "At first he told me to do what he said and he'd get me a bike." "What about the abusing lie you made up?" I asked, still shocked. "I made up that excuse so Dad would take me away. I really like you, so I don't want his plan to work." "Then why did you continue to act up?" "Because Cindy was mad at me, and I wanted her to play with me, so I pulled that trick again." Tears streamed down my face. Unbelievable! I voluntarily stepped into his trap right at the beginning. He didn't even have to do much. I felt like such an idiot. After that, we exposed Ethan. Clarice helped us too. Turns out, he's bankrupt, which is why his wife left him and why he's no longer my dad's business partner. Ethan was arrested, but Clarice's mom was out of the country, and she refused to return for her daughter. To be honest, I love Clarice, and I didn't want her to live in the orphanage. So I let her live at my place for a while before I told my parents everything. Obviously, my parents have more capacity and power to deal with this. It took a while for Clarice to get over her guilt and settle in. Here I was, standing in the middle of Christian's apartment with a dumbfounded look on my face. I know I dated a lot of guys, but could it really have been so many that I'd accidentally dated this guy twice? I took another look around the room. Oh my god, that hideous lamp and minuscule kitchen looked really familiar. I was feeling uneasy as I sat on the couch and stared at the guitar. Okay, now I was sure that I'd definitely been here before. Panicking, I made an excuse that my favorite TV show was about to start, so I had to go home. Then I ran out of there. From that moment on, I avoided Christian at all costs. He tried to call and message me a bunch of times, but I ignored them all. How was it possible that I couldn't remember dating him? I mean, okay, I suppose I had been on a bit of a dating streak recently, but it was hardly enough to date myself into oblivion, right? Besides, if this was the case, shouldn't he be able to recognize me too? On the day we met, I was in a terrible mood, so was drowning my sorrows in a bar. I had a bit too much to drink, so when I walked out and accidentally bumped into Christian, I began blaming him. But instead of ignoring a drunk girl, he made sure I got home safely. After that, I don't know if it was by accident, fate, or if Christian was stalking me, but I seemed to run into him all the time. Hey, if the universe wanted us to hang out, then who was I to stop it? So I started talking to him, and turns out we got on really well. Then, of course, came that day when he dropped the bombshell. He said he likes me, and I kind of like him too, so we started dating. Now, did you see how wrong this was? If I'm his ex, then why did he approach me? Also, I mean, what are the odds for the both of us to just have zero recollection of each other? Or was he pretending not to know me? If so, then what were his purposes? Ugh, the best thing to do is to dump him first, right? Problem solved. But then one day, I got home from college to find Christian standing at my door with a bunch of groceries. He came by to cook me dinner. Oh, that's kinda sweet. Well, seeing as he's here, I should hold off on breaking up with him until after dinner, right? But man, it was so hard. All I could think about was how caring and thoughtful he was. Then suddenly, he said something that messed up my whole plan. My roommates are terrible cooks, especially my brother, so the two of them pester me to make all of their meals. Wait a minute, did he just say brother and roommate? So it turns out he wasn't living alone. What a relief! That means there was still hope that I could have dated his brother or his roommate, not him. I just needed to figure out which one it was. I needed to find out more about them, so I praised him for more information. He told me that his brother was dumped by his ex in the worst way possible. He'd arranged a romantic dinner at a restaurant, and while he was talking, she screamed out that she wanted to break up. It was not only devastating for him, but also humiliating. Oh my god. That sounded so familiar, because I often did that too. It's like my signature move. Could it be that the person I dated was his brother, Connor? If yes, then that would be great. It means I could continue dating Christian, right? To be honest, I really hope it's Connor. So all I needed to do was meet the guy and let him confirm it. But easier said than done. The guy was never home. Until one night. Christian and I were at a bar when we heard some loud noises coming from the booth next to us. A guy was yelling at a couple. Seeing that, Christian immediately ran over to them and stopped the guy. Turns out the guy yelling was Connor, and the couple were his ex and her new boyfriend. So she was the one who broke up with him in that terrible way, not me? Now it's either Christian or his roommate. While I was in deep thought, Christian came back with 2 hot dogs in his hands. "Hey, Christian!" Suddenly, we heard someone calling his name. We turned around to see 2 guys standing behind us. It was none other than Christian's roommate, Wes, and his boyfriend. Yes, you heard me right, his boyfriend. So that means I didn't date him either? After that, I couldn't pay attention to the game anymore. In what way could this all make sense? But wait, maybe I was wrong. I mean, many apartments look the same, don't they? Seeing me zoning out, Christian nudged my arm, then handed me a hot dog. I thanked him and was about to take it when he snatched it back.
"Oh wait, you hate ketchup, 'cause you always get ketchup stains on your clothes. Here, take this one."
What did you just say? How did you know that?
"Oh, you did tell me once, don't you remember?"
I just gave an awkward smile. I'm 100% sure I hadn't told him that. So there's no denying, Christian is my ex-boyfriend. It's settled. I'm breaking up with him. That night, I couldn't sleep, as all I could think about was Christian. He obviously remembered me because he knew about the ketchup thing. But why the act? Oh my, he definitely wants revenge. I'm sure of it. But, why did this suck so much? He was just some guy. I could find another boyfriend easy enough, right? But chances are, they wouldn't be as sweet and caring as Christian was. One time when I was stressing out about my essay, he stayed up late so he could read it through for me and point out any typos. And whenever I was feeling down, he would send me a cake, sometimes a box of donuts with a little note to cheer me up. I was definitely going to miss his cute ways, but I couldn't do this anymore. He had to go. So the next day, when I met Christian for lunch, I decided to take the opportunity to break up with him. But before I could say anything, we ran into a guy who claimed to know me.
"Oh my god, is that you, Sadie?"
Huh? Who is he?
"Oliver. My god, long time no see. You know Sadie? Christian? Hey, what a small world. Yeah, we used to date."
My god. Guys, this is Oliver, who happened to be Christian's former roommate, which, apparently, my ex. He used to live with Christian before Wes moved in. So that means, hooray! Christian wasn't my ex and wasn't longing for revenge. Yay! Although, it's kind of weird that Oliver didn't look at all familiar to me. Maybe I really did need to stop dating so much. This is crazy, but it made me realize something. I really had fallen for Christian. So I decided to set up a romantic dinner in a nice restaurant so I could tell him. Christian, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I love you. I eagerly awaited for him to say it back, but no. Instead, he burst out laughing. Huh? And that's when everything came to light. Guess what? Christian really is my ex.
When we were at the basketball match, I made a big mistake with the ketchup thing. I sensed you were sus, so I asked Oliver to pretend to be your ex. And it worked.
But why? What did I do to you to deserve that?
Oh wow, you really don't remember, huh? Well, just proves what a terrible person you are. You don't care what love is. You just like to mess with people's feelings, then move on to your next victim. Well, let me refresh your memory. We used to be a happy couple. Until one day you decided to end things without even an explanation, right when I was having the hardest time. Things didn't go well at work and my mom was sick in the hospital. Did you know how heartbroken it made me feel? Then a month ago, when I saw you dump that guy in public, then walk past me without even recognizing me, I knew everything was a joke to you. So I came up with this plan, and I don't regret anything. Then he stood up and walked off.
What? That couldn't be true, right? Because I had no recollection of what Christian just said. But he seemed adamant it was true, so I went to see my doctor. Actually, ever since the accident, I haven't been back here for any extra checkup. And you know what? After several tests, I was diagnosed with memory loss. Well, that explained a lot. You see, a few months ago, I had a bicycle accident. I fell off a cliff, but luckily it wasn't high. I bumped my head, but I thought I was okay, as I still remembered my family and friends. Turns out, I only lost the memory about the period of time when I was dating Christian. How ironic. But it was a big misunderstanding. You know, I have this bad habit that every time I feel someone is getting distant towards me, I save face by dumping them first. So maybe when Christian was busy taking care of his mom in the hospital, I misread the situation and ended things with him. Ugh, he was right. I am a horrible person. I can't believe I let an amazing guy like him go. But nope, not this time. I believe the universe gave me a second chance. That's why I met him again. So I ran to Christian's apartment to explain everything to him. But when I knocked on the door, Wes opened it. You just missed him. He's heading to the airport to visit his parents for a few weeks. What? I couldn't wait 2 more weeks, so I took a cab to the airport. But on the way, I got stuck in traffic. Ugh! How am I supposed to find him now? Wait a minute. I've seen this scene play out many times in movies. So, can you guess what I did next? Yep, I stepped out of the taxi and ran like a crazy person up the road. I looked into each taxi hoping to find Christian and, do you believe it? I finally found him. He looked very shocked when he saw me getting into his cab. Before you kick me out, please let me explain. Then I began to tell him about my mom and how my dad and countless other men abandoned her. I was left terrified of being abandoned by someone I love, so my own irrational fear meant that when Christian was busy taking care of his sick mom, I thought it was a sign that he was about to dump me. So I ended things first with him. It's not because you didn't mean anything to me. On the contrary, you made me feel safe. I just like you so much that I didn't want to get hurt by you. Then I explained to him about my accident and why I don't remember him. Christian remained silent and kept his head down. It seemed like he didn't want to give me another chance. I tried, but I couldn't make him forgive me. So, feeling glum, I opened the car door to get out. But Christian took my hand and said, Sadie, I have missed you. Okay, fine. Let's give it another try. So that was it. Christian gave me a second. Oh, wait. Actually, it's the third chance. And can you guess what we did next? Well, I'm now sitting at the airport with Christian, waiting for our flight to his hometown to meet his...
My name's Tulip. Ever since I was a kid, I was obsessed with solving mysteries. While other kids stuck their faces into video games, I was busy snooping around and finding cases to crack. Like where to find Mom's missing earring. Ta-da! Detective Tulip to the rescue! Oh, thank you, sweetheart. My detective skills actually came in handy sometimes, but more often than not, it could be a disaster. Like one time at my aunt's wedding, I noticed something strange about the cake. It looked too perfect, too smooth, too suspicious. According to all the detective movies I've watched, whenever food looked this good, there was only one explanation. Poison! So I went to investigate, and that's when I saw this stick in the center of a cake. Why would anyone put a stick in the center of a cake? Theory 1, someone wants my aunt and her husband to choke. Theory 2, it's a hidden weapon, but not on my watch. So I yanked out the weapon, and the cake crumbled like a pack of cards, making a big mess. Gotcha! You cruel... It's just an ordinary stick? That was a dowel stick! It was holding the cake together! Oh, so no poison then? Mom took me home immediately and banned me from doing any more detective stuff. But I wasn't about to give up. Not when my best friend Cherry still believed in me. Even if the rest of our classmates scoffed at my detective adventures, she would always listen with her whole heart. I know you're going to be like Sherlock. No, even better! You're way too smart. Whatever happened, I knew it'd be alright as long as I got Cherry by my side. And that's why it hurt so much when she had to leave because her mom got a new job in Asia. How's your new place? It's nice. A bit small, but cute. Aw, Cherry, I miss you so much already. I miss you too, but I promise I'll visit and we'll see each other again soon. And just like that, I was all alone. Everything sucked after that. Without Cherry, my detective adventures didn't seem all that exciting anymore. And my parents were too busy arguing to notice their once lively, fearless detective daughter had become a lifeless blob.
I told you to fix a sink! And I told you I don't have magical plumbing powers!
I thought I was going to be that emo kid forever. Then I turned 16 and someone came along who changed my life in more ways than one.
Meet our new transfer student, Sadiq. The moment I saw him, my long-dormant detective instincts kicked back in.
There was something off about him. He barely spoke, always kept to himself. But the strangest part was that he never put down his school bag. Not during class, not at lunch. At first, I thought it was just a weird quirk, but then came the swimming competition that just took it one step further. Sadiq was one of the chosen swimmers for the competition. You would think that at least when he's underwater, he's gotta leave behind the bag, right? Nope, he just dove straight in, the bag still strapped on. Rumors exploded. Some whispered he was hiding stolen money. Others joked he was smuggling something illegal. My detective instincts were itching to get in on the case, and apparently I wasn't the only one who thought of bringing back Detective Tulip. I was cornered in the hallway by the school bully Greg and his group of loyal minions.
Hey, Tulip, it's been a while since you bragged about being a detective. What happened? Finally realized you're too short for the job?
Stay cool, Tulip. Stay cool. No way was I letting Greg get under my skin. You wish. One day I'll be solving crimes on your screen as the biggest detective ever.
Well then, why don't you prove it? Find out what's in Sadiq's bag. It should be easy peasy for someone with your skills, right? Solve the case, and we'll personally spread the word about your genius detective work. But if you fail, we'll help you bury that stupid dream forever.
You're on. I took the challenge for 3 reasons. 1, I was curious. I mean, come on, who wasn't? 2, I was bored. And 3, solving this mystery would be my way of proving to myself and everyone else that Tulip the detective was back in business. I couldn't wait to tell Cherry about this new adventure when we finally reunited. At first, I tracked my Sadiq's every move at school, seeking an opening to peek inside the bag. But that got nowhere. This guy was way too cautious. Then I decided on a more direct approach. Maybe if I were his friend, he'd just spill his secret and save me the stress of investigating. Hey, new guy, I'm Tulip. Mind if I join you?
Whatever.
Okie dokie. What was that? So this guy just had 0 social skills then. I kept trying to start a conversation again and again, but no matter what I said, Sadiq would only respond with a snort, silence, or barely audible yes or no. It was like talking to a brick wall. So I switched tactics. I was going to follow him home. He had got to put it down at some point. I was sure of it. If I waited outside his window, maybe when he was going to sleep or take a shower, I could just quickly sneak in, snatch the bag, and unlock its secrets. A bit stalkerish, I know, but if he never found out, it wouldn't cause any harm, right? So when school was over on Friday, I followed him. I tried my best to keep a low profile so he wouldn't notice me, but I suddenly lost sight of him, as if he had just vanished or teleported or something. I was going to leave, but as soon as I turned around, I immediately bumped into Sadiq!
You again? And now you're stalking me? Why?
How did he see me? How did he even get behind me? Was this guy a ghost?
I asked you a question.
My brain short-circuited in that moment, and I blurted out the first excuse that came to mind. I just think you're the coolest boy ever! The second it left my mouth, I wanted the earth to swallow me. Utterly baffled, and who could blame him? I was baffled myself!
You don't even know me. Stay out of my way.
I could only stare as he left. I was double horrified. Horrified he caught me stalking, and horrified at the horrific love confession. I sure wasn't in love. I wasn't even in like with him. So, my great plans had blown up in my face. But I couldn't let go of that school bag mystery. And now, it wasn't just about the bag, it was about him. He was a mystery himself. How did he appear behind me so fast? supersonic speed and teleportation aside. But more than that, it was his eyes. The weight in them. You don't often see that in every high school kid's eyes. I was eager to learn more about him. But you know how they say curiosity killed the cat? Well, mine was about to make me cross a line I'd regret forever. The next day at school, I snuck into the admin's office to get the records, and I took out Sadiq's file. My hands were shaking from excitement and fear of getting caught. But when I read it, shock slammed into me. Sadiq's family went through a fire accident, and it took his little sister's life. The report said that the accident had taken a toll on Sadiq's psyche, and he hadn't been the same since. Sadiq was just a boy, still mourning and hurting over the loss of his little sister. And here I was, selfishly prying into his privacy because I was too fixated on having my detective adventure. My best friend moved away, and that alone shattered me. How much worse was his pain for losing his sister forever? I realized nobody should invade another's privacy just to satisfy their curiosity. So I told Greg I was done.
So you're backing out 'cause you're a chicken?
No, I just think we should leave him alone. He probably has his own reason that is none of our business.
What a loser! Fine then, we'll show you how it's done, but don't you dare forget our agreement. After we're done with him, you're next. Let's go, guys. Detective Tulip here needs a demonstration.
Greg and his lackeys stormed into the classroom to find Sadiq. I tried to stop them, but it was no use. I was just a girl against 3 boys. They went straight to Sadiq's desk.
What's going on?
Oh no! I rushed in, but they'd already yanked the bag away from Sadiq. Stop it, Greg! I ran to grab the bag from them, but the worst possible outcome happened. Greg immediately ripped the bag apart in front of Sadiq's eyes. No! A chilling silence crept into the room as the bag's contents spilled all over the floor. Even Greg went pale. On the floor, there's a scorched stuffed rabbit, a cracked family photo, and a small silver urn with the name Prishna engraved on it. It was exactly what I had thought. He was carrying memories of his sister with him all along. Sadiq's body froze on the spot as he fell to his knees next to his sister's urn. I turned around and punched Greg right in the face. He deserved that. After the teachers got involved, Greg and his gang were suspended, while Sadiq was advised to prioritize his mental health first and take as much time off school as needed. I assumed he would resume school in a day or two, but a whole week passed, and he never showed up. I couldn't help but feel responsible for this. The agony on his face when it all happened was still haunting me. It was worse than when Cherry moved away. I was in such distress that even my parents stopped arguing and took notice.
Honey, are you okay? You've been so quiet lately.
That it only took a few words for everything to spill out like a broken dam. For the first time in ages, I had a real heart-to-heart with my parents. I told them everything. How Cherry moving away crushed me, how their fights made me feel completely alone, and how I hurt someone who didn't deserve it. I had expected scolding, maybe indifference, but instead I got a, "I'm so sorry, honey. I can't believe we got so caught up in work that we forgot to be there for you."
But no more. Let us make it up to you. We'll fix this. Together.
It felt good to have my loved ones by my side, to know that I wasn't alone. With Mom and Dad's help, I went searching for Sadiq's home to make things right with him. Relief washed over me at the sight of his face.
Tulip, what are you doing here?
I came to apologize. Please, hear me out. I was worried he would avoid me again. Luckily, his mom kindly let us in with a sweet smile. She even gave us some privacy so I could say what I needed to. Your home is beautiful, and so is your mom. You took after her. Not that I'm calling you beautiful or anything. I mean, you look fine. Yes. Oh gosh, why do I keep saying stupid things when I'm around you? I thought he'd roll his eyes or give me one of those glares that said I was annoying. But instead, for the first time, I saw Sadiq smile. Just a tiny, barely there smile. But hey, that counted too. And it was enough to give me the courage for what I had to say next. I'm sorry, Sadiq. It was my fault. I took a stupid dare from Greg to find out what was in your bag. I got so caught up in this imaginary adventure that I didn't realize I was doing more harm than good. Until it was too late. It was thoughtless and invasive of me to pry into your personal life like that. I'm sorry.
They're the ones who tore my back, Tulip. Not you. My sister. What happened to her was on me. I was supposed to look after her while Mom was in the hospital. But I was exhausted and I accidentally left the cooker on.
There's a sinking feeling in my chest. I couldn't bear to see him trying to take on all the blame by himself. It was an accident, Sadiq. I'm sure your sister wouldn't want to see you torture yourself over and over again because of a past that cannot be changed. After all, she's still with you, right here. Forgive yourself and live on, for her sake too. Sadiq's eyes softened and my heart felt lighter.
You're right. I guess I thought the only way to remember her was to carry the weight of my mistake everywhere I went. But turning her memory into a burden, that wouldn't be fair to her. That's not how she'd want to be remembered.
Trust me, this wouldn't be letting go or forgetting her. It's living the life your sister would have wanted for the brother she loved. I could tell this was already a huge step forward for Sadiq, which was why I also encouraged him to seek a professional grief counselor to further help the healing process. He was hesitant at first, but after encouragement from both me and his mom, he finally agreed. After that, we became the best of friends who shared tons of happy memories together.
I was wondering, if you would love to go bowling this weekend, or the movies, or, I don't know, anything?
He promptly looked away, and for a split second, I could have sworn I saw his whole face going red. My detective instincts tell me that perhaps something even more might be blossoming between us soon. Sure, I'd like that.
I've made it! I'm on the paradise island of Koh Lanta, and I actually get to stay here at this luxurious beachside resort. Hey, I'm Achara, a 17-year-old girl from Krabi Town, Thailand. As amazing as this place is, I'm actually not here on vacation. Instead, I'm here to reunite with the boy I saved 10 years ago. I almost forgot he existed until last week when I came across a Facebook post by Thomas, a famous British swimmer, searching for the mystery girl who saved his life as a child. Thomas is currently in Thailand for business, so here I am, eager to finally see him again. I was waiting by the gate when suddenly sounds of rolling suitcases came from behind me. I turned around to see two girls about my age standing there. Who are they? Before I could say anything, the gate opened and a friendly woman invited us inside. According to Mrs. Danvish, Thomas's housekeeper, he had a training schedule in another city and wouldn't be back for a couple of days. Then she introduced us to each other. The short-haired girl is called Sarai, and the longer-haired girl is Kanda.
Dearie me, I must say that having 3 girls all claiming to be Thomas's savior came as a bit of a surprise. But I'm sure the truth will come out in the wash. Until then, please all stay here and make yourselves comfortable.
So, those 2 girls are pretending to be me? Unbelievable! But no problem. Thomas would soon realize I was the one he was looking for and would kick those imposters out of here. I dropped my suitcase off in my room, then went downstairs for dinner. As soon as I sat down, Sarai spoke out. Stop acting. I know you 2 fakers are just pretending to be me so you can get your hands on Thomas's fortune. You're the fake one? Curly hair and a mole? You really have done your study, huh? OMG, these 2 audacious girls were getting on my nerves. At that moment, Mrs. Danvish entered, followed by the waiter with a trolley full of the most delicious-looking food I'd ever laid eyes on. Now that Mrs. Danvish was here, the 2 imposters immediately changed their frosty attitudes to their bright smiles and sweet-as-pie acts.
Ladies, please help yourselves to food and drink. Then tomorrow morning, after you've all been well rested, we shall have a little chat.
But how am I supposed to enjoy the food when I have these 2 vultures glaring at me? I quickly finished my meal, then rushed back to my room. I must be well prepared for tomorrow. The next morning, a maid escorted me out to the garden for breakfast. The other 2 girls were already there. On seeing me, Kanda scowled at me, while Sarai made a point of sawing her knife through her omelet. I was about to help myself to some breakfast when suddenly Mrs. Danvish appeared and said,
Morning, girls. I hope you're all well rested.
She sat down, then continued.
Now to the main point. I'm rather curious and was wondering where you first met Thomas.
Easy. It was here on this island when I was 10 years old. I was collecting shells on the beach when I met him.
Busted. I was only 7 years old then, imposter. Gee, a careless move over there, Kanda. Thomas clearly specified in an interview that he'd been 8 years old and the girl who saved him was a year younger. Yes, I met Thomas when I was 7 years old. At that time, my father was a helmsman. I often followed him here, and once I spotted Thomas sitting alone on the beach. Feeling bored waiting for my dad, I came to say hi and hang out with them the whole day. That afternoon, Thomas got a cramp while swimming, and he would have drowned if it wasn't for me. I saved him, then my father and I took him to the hospital. Mrs. Danvish just listened silently, and when all three of us had finished answering, she said, Indeed, the girl in question was 7 at the time. So, Conda.
No, I just misremembered. See, I was only 7 at the time. I could easily get confused.
Mrs. Danvish didn't say anything more after this, but I saw this knowing look in her eyes. Then, that night at dinner, there were only 2 places at the table set, and Conda never made an appearance. Seems like things are getting serious. The next morning, I was making the most of my time here by lounging around on the beach, reading my favorite book, when someone blocked out the sun. I looked up to see Sarai smirking down at me. Enjoy yourself while you can, as you'll be the next to leave. As if! You may have memorized all the information from the newspapers, but that's not going to be enough to fool Thomas. You. I saw the fury in Sarai's eyes as she raised her hand to slap me. But, huh? Someone stopped her. Standing in front of me was a tall, handsome guy. Wow, who is he?
Miss, violence is not the answer.
Who are you to lecture me?
Actually, I'm Eli, Thomas's assistant.
Sarai tutted under her breath and then strutted off.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I just don't know how someone has the nerve to lie like that. We continued talking as we strolled along the beach. Eli mentioned how I was exactly as Thomas had described me. Seeing as Eli seemed to be on my side, I took the chance to ask him more about Thomas, such as what his favorite foods, colors, and movies were. Yesterday I spoke to Thomas's housekeeper, Mrs. Danvish. She seems to know a lot about him, doesn't she?
That's right. She was Thomas's nanny. Due to their busy schedules, Thomas's parents were often busy, so most of the time Mrs. Danvish was the one taking care of him. He's very fond of her.
Then Eli showed me a picture of Mrs. Danvish hugging a smiley, young-looking Thomas. Oh, so he had blonde hair when he was little? I was so lost in thought, I didn't notice a rock and tripped over it. Eli immediately reached out to steady me. Then he asked if I was okay. Oh my God, what happened to me? Why is my heart thudding like crazy? That night, Sarai and I were sitting in the dining room having a stare-off as we waited for dinner, when suddenly a man walked in holding 2 bouquets of sunflowers. Thomas! Oh wow, he looks even more handsome in real life. My best friend Dara should have been here to see this. I told her to come here, but she wouldn't listen to me. Before I had time to greet Thomas, Sarai rushed over and hugged him. Then she pretended to get all emotional. Finally, we're reunited. Not a day has passed when I haven't thought of you. Thomas awkwardly pushed her away, then scratched his head.
Let's have dinner first and then talk about this later.
The food looked delicious as always, but I had a job to do. Only, whenever I tried to say something to Thomas, that awful Sarai interrupted me. Since our first meeting, the image of a cute brown-haired boy has been imprinted on my heart. I noticed Thomas pause and exchange a knowing look with Eli. You mean blonde, right? She thinks you had brown hair because she's never seen you when you were a kid, and that just proves she's a fraud. Thomas looked at me, stunned, then turned to Sarai in disappointment as she blurted out, It's not like that. Please hear me out. Without letting Sarai finish her sentence, Thomas sternly said,
You know, I can totally sue you for impersonation and fraud. If you don't want to get in trouble, get out of here at once.
Sarai looked like she was about to cry as she stuttered helplessly, then quickly got up and left. Thomas then grabbed my hand, smiled, and said,
Finally, I found you.
So he's weeded out the frauds. But why do I feel so guilty when I see his cheerful face? And what about Eli? Why do I find myself wishing it wasn't Thomas holding my hand right now? The next morning, I took Thomas to my hometown and showed him around. We were walking along the shore of the Krabby River when I saw Dara waiting. There she is. I invited her to join us. This is Dara, my best friend. Dara, this is Thomas, the guy I was talking to you about. Right then, my phone started ringing. Excuse me, I've got to take this. Go ahead, guys. I'll be right back. I quickly left, but did not forget to wink at Dara and whisper to her, I did my best. Now it's your turn. I took a stroll around the area and came back to see Thomas sitting alone, looking off into the distance. Where did Dara go? Seeing me, he stood up and said,
Dara had something to do, so she left early. We should leave too.
On our way back home, I couldn't help but ask Thomas. So, Dara told you everything, right?
What do you mean? Oh, well, she did tell me about some interesting sports in the town.
Oh man, that means Thomas still has no clue? Silly Dara. I put so much effort into bringing him here.
Oh, hey, Achora. This suddenly came to my mind. When you took me to the hospital back then, do you remember what flower you gave me?
Flowers. He got me sunflowers last time, so it must be... Of course I remember. I gave you a sunflower. I wanted to cheer you up. I was expecting a nod from Thomas, but to my surprise, he sighed and said,
Actually, I just made that up. There were no flowers at all.
Thomas's words got me wavered. I didn't want to end up in a position like this. Fine. If Dara chickened out of telling him the truth herself, then I guess I just have to do it. Thomas, I'm sorry. Actually... And so I told Thomas the truth. The one who saved Thomas that day was Dara, not me. And she's in a pretty tough situation right now. Ever since her dad's accident that left him unable to take his boat out anymore, Dara's family were in terrible debt. So, when I saw the article where Thomas was searching for his savior, I tried to convince Dara to come forward, as he might be able to help out her family. But I can't do that. I can't let him see me in this awful state. He would presume I was only after his money. No matter how much I tried to convince her, Dara still refused to go and meet Thomas. And so I decided to disguise myself as Dara and approach you first. Then I planned to reunite you here.
And she agreed to all that?
No, she didn't. I carried things out all alone. I kept asking Dara for more information about the past and then spent all my savings on hair appointments and makeup to fake a mole like hers. Then I lied to my parents that I was participating in a summer camp and went to Koh Lanta. I also arranged to meet her here today, but I guess she's still not ready to talk to you.
Actually, when I saw Dara, I felt this strange connection toward her, but seeing the way she left like that, maybe she doesn't want to see me again.
Oh no, what had I done? I want to bring them together, not drive them apart. Are things really just going to end up like this? It's been 3 days since then, and now here I am, nervously waiting for Dara in the airport lobby. I'd asked her to meet me here, but this doesn't look good. Does she really not even bother to say goodbye to me before I leave the country?
Achora, seems like Dara isn't coming. I'm sorry, but we have to go.
I gave a solemn sigh and pulled my suitcase when suddenly I heard someone call, "Wait up! Achara!" I turned around and saw Dara running towards me. Oh boy, what a relief! I quickly hid away my smile and put on a sulky expression. Oh, you're here? Thought you wouldn't come. Anyway, my boyfriend and I are off to London to meet his family. They're really eager to meet his savior, right, babe? Thank you for coming to send me off. Dara gave an awkward look. Then she took my hand and led me over so she could whisper, Achara, can I talk to Thomas in private for a minute? Yes, my plan worked. I turned to Eli and gave a thumbs up. Then we rushed off and left Dara and Thomas to talk alone. Did you really think I would let those two idiots give up on each other so easily? No way. I had discussed it with Thomas and planned to fake a cheesy farewell at the airport, and voila! Dara finally realized her feelings for Thomas in this hit-or-miss moment, and the two of them had a happy reunion. Yay! So, what about me, huh? Well, you don't have to worry, because I might have scored this cute, handsome assistant right here.
Hi, it's Jasmine, a professional rich kid and full-time princess. My obscenely rich parents spent years praying for a child, so when I finally came along, I was basically given everything I ever wanted. Cars? Got 'em. Trips? Done. Private concerts? You name it. Unfortunately, my parents' gift always came with a side of public announcement to the whole world. We're giving our miracle baby Jasmine her 8th car for her sweet 16. That's one every 2 years. Geez, Dad, I think everyone knows that already. And we also bought this diamond-studded dress for our baby Jasmine, because she's our star. Oh, look at all these diamonds. I hated the attention, but my parents lived for it. And soon enough, their wealth broadcast show brought home troubles. I started getting DMs constantly from people I didn't even know. It freaked me out when some of them recognized which school I went to. My parents' reaction was even worse. Their faces literally went pale when I told them. Then people began slipping notes into my locker, sending me letters to drawings. How did they even find out which locker was mine? Of course, I was uncomfortable. But my parents? Yeah, they couldn't stand still anymore. They went into full panic mode and sent in bodyguards.
Step back, Miss Ring. We've got a situation. I repeat, locker compromised. Over.
From that day onward, I was under surveillance at all times. I became the school freak, the rich girl with a matrix agents hovering behind her 24/7. It was getting suffocating. So I figured, if I could prove I could protect myself, maybe my parents would tell the guards to back off. I began taking up self-defense classes. And with a burning determination, I trained hard and quickly got my black belt. Freedom was now in my hands. Or so I thought. I did it, Dad! Black belt, baby! Can we lose the bodyguards now?
No can do, sweetie. Get your gym bag.
Turns out, not even a black belt could change my parents' minds. Before this, art was all I thought about. And as much as I loved art, how was my creativity supposed to flow if I had no freedom? Ugh! This is crazy! I needed quiet and peace for myself, but my parents just couldn't seem to understand that. Their lifestyle had always been loud and flashy. So I tried telling my parents that we should lay low for a while, that all this overprotection was ruining my daily life. But without the guards, how can we be sure that you're safe? I have a black belt, Mom. I can take care of myself.
We're not taking any risks. The more security, the better.
But what about my freedom, my friends, my hobbies, my art?
Those can wait. Safety first.
Nothing was getting through to them. Just like that, my social life was slipping away completely. At school, everyone knew to avoid me. So sure, although I was never alone, it always felt so lonely. Whenever someone tried to reach out, I was eager to accept their company right away. Hey, your lunch seems a little lonely. Well, that tends to happen when eating alone. Mind if I join you? Please do. Just then, my bodyguards dived at her and began to search her like a criminal. What on earth? Let her go!
Routine check for weapons, ma'am.
She brought juice, not a grenade. I immediately apologized to her. At this point, the whole cafeteria was staring at us. Rita, though obviously rattled, tried to play it cool. Here, I got this for you. Thank you. Suddenly, another bodyguard grabbed it and took a long sip. My jaw practically dropped to the floor. Are you serious right now?
Routine check for poison, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm out. Another shot at friendship gone with the wind. Everyone laughed while my bodyguards stood like statues. I felt so humiliated. That's when I knew I needed to have a serious talk with my parents. I'm done living like this. Either the guards go, or I do.
To where exactly?
Uncle Theo's. Dad froze at the mention of Uncle Theo. Something about Uncle Theo borrowing his favorite sneakers in 1998 and never returning them, and they hadn't spoken since. Silly, I know. But that's also exactly why he wouldn't be able to follow me if I moved in with Uncle Theo.
You're kidding, right?
If I wake up to even one bodyguard around me, we will find out. For once, he realized how serious I was. The next day, all the bodyguards were gone. I kept looking around, thinking they were hiding somewhere, but they weren't. What a miracle! With them gone, I thought I could finally make friends, but the damage was already done. Nobody wanted to be my friend anymore. Fine then. New plan. I'd be the cold, mysterious girl until graduation. Ugh. Yeah, that plan lasted for like 2 minutes. Until Jason, a transfer student, tall and Greek god-level handsome, came along. Everyone stared at him, me included.
Hey, mind moving? You're in front of my locker.
I stepped aside, flustered. Sorry. My loneliness wanted me to befriend him, but I was hesitant, afraid he'd avoid me when he found out my reputation of having a whole army following me to protect. But to my surprise, Jason was unfazed and even approached me first. FYI, the last person who sat with me ran off terrified.
Yeah, I heard. Something about a barrier of big, scary bodyguards?
Exactly. So you should be running.
Bodyguards don't scare me. I'm tall, and I watch a lot of Jackie Chan.
Sure. Be my guest then. For the first time in forever, someone wasn't afraid to joke around me. And just like that, we became friends. We talked, we laughed, we texted till 2 a.m. about everything and nothing. I finally felt normal again. He was the best thing to come into my life since forever. We started hanging out both during and after school. For the last few months, knowing him had completely livened up my boring, lonely school life. We got along so well that I wanted to invite him over. The only thing I was worried about was my parents' reaction, but to my surprise, Jason was welcomed almost instantly. No searching his bag or interrogation or anything before he was let in. Could it be that my parents saw how happy I was and agreed to loosen the security too? With Jason, I felt free and happy. So much that my creative fire started burning brightly again. Funnily enough, my sketchbook began filling up with drawings of him.
If you're gonna draw me, at least get my good side.
Draw you? Someone's getting big-headed.
You didn't just call me that. Tickle attack!
I was falling hard and fast for him, and he was always pulling me out of really messy situations. He would catch me before I could trip, open the door for me, and his glare alone sent away any bullies. He was like an unpaid bodyguard with his fast reflexes and perfect timing. Being with him felt safe and at ease. By the time we were about to graduate, I couldn't hide my feelings anymore. Close your eyes. I have a surprise for you.
What is it?
Just close your eyes already. It was a portrait of Jason from that day on the balcony. You can look now. When Jason set his eyes on it, his expression was one of tenderness.
You drew this? For me? Jasmine, this must have taken forever.
It was worth it. I couldn't rest anyway. You're all I think about. The moment I said that, I saw panic in Jason's eyes. It stunk when he looked away. Jason, what I'm saying is I like you. You get that, right?
Jasmine, thank you, but I wish you hadn't said that.
Why? Don't you feel the same way? I thought you liked me too.
I do. Anyway, we should head back. It's getting late.
I tried asking him again, but he kept quiet. My heart was hurting, and I just couldn't understand. Why couldn't we be together? After that, I couldn't bring myself to see him again. I needed some time alone, but I forgot the danger of being completely alone for the first time since ages. Who's there? The streets were empty, but I felt like I was being watched. I turned to run home and bumped straight into a huge, scary guy.
Finally! I thought that bodyguard of yours would never leave.
Bodyguard? Did he mean Jason? Who are you? What do you want?
You filthy rich people must be walking around with pockets full of money all the time, huh? I'm sick of seeing your ridiculous wealth parade. Give me your money and jewelry. Now! Ugh!
And then he attacked, but my months of self-defense training kicked in, and he was down in seconds flat.
Oh, you've got some fight, huh? Let's see how tough you are now.
I felt my heart drop as two more men emerged from the shadows. How was I to fight 3 men on my own? They lunged at me, and I instinctively squeezed my eyes shut, raising my hands up to shield my face, but nothing happened. I opened my eyes, and to my surprise, Jason was there, fighting the men off. He knocked them down like they were made of straw and called the cops. On any other day, I'd be swooning. But at that moment, a cold realization hit me.
Are you okay?
Where did you learn to fight like that?
I could ask you the same.
Self-defense class. You next. You just took down 3 grown men without breaking a sweat. Who are you? His silence said everything. You showed up immediately after Dad sent away the bodyguards. You're their replacement, aren't you? Is that why my parents welcomed you into our home instantly?
I can explain.
So, it's all an act. That's why you turned me down.
No, Jasmine, I have feelings for you too. Real feelings.
Liar! You only cared about me as your mission. As the police arrested the man and approached Jason for questions, I ran away, feeling heartbroken and betrayed. The moment I got home, I packed my things. My parents lied to me. Again. But I was done living like this, letting them impose on my life however they wanted.
Please, Jasmine, imagine what could have happened if he wasn't there.
You lied to me, Dad. You betrayed my trust. And that's what matters. We just wanted to protect you. This would have never even happened in the first place if you hadn't broadcast our entire life to the whole world. You put me on their radar. So I left for the one place I knew I'd find peace. Uncle Theo's. He lived off the grid, leading a quiet, calm life despite being extremely wealthy. Here, it's just us and nature. At first, I felt relieved. But as much as I didn't want to admit it, I missed my parents. And I missed Jason. Without him, it felt like the world lost its colors, and my brushes couldn't find the will to paint anymore. Yet, I still wasn't ready to forgive them, though my phone was ringing nonstop.
That's the 3rd time today. Are you sure you don't want to hear them out?
I'm sure. I'm better off this way.
Your parents can be excessive and overdramatic, but I know you know they only meant the best for you. I think they've learned their lesson now. And sometimes, forgiveness isn't just about them. It's to set yourself free too.
Deep down, I knew Uncle Theo was right. So the next time my parents called, I answered the phone. But if I were to come back, changes needed to be made too. First, Dad had to reconcile with Uncle Theo. Second, no more of that flashy and loud lifestyle. No bodyguards or camera crews standing by 24/7. Things seemed to look up as my parents agreed, and even decided to move to a more quiet home. Then I saw him, and my heart ached again. Seriously? What's Mr. Secret Bodyguard doing here?
It's not what you think, dear. No secret business. For what it's worth, Jason turned down the check we offered for your protection. He's only here now because he just wants to talk to you. That's all. We'll give you two some space.
Seeing him again brought back feelings.
Have you ever met someone and known instantly that they are the one for you? I wish I'd realized sooner so that my teenage years hadn't been so full of drama and heartbreak. But you live and learn, right? And better late than never. By the way, I'm Versailles, and I'm 24 years old. It all began 14 years ago when I moved to New York and started at a new school. At that time, I assumed that moving from my hometown in France to New York would be no big deal. My mom and I were super excited and truly believed it would change our lives. Indeed, it did, but not in the ways I ever expected. On my first day at my new school, my mother insisted on driving me to school. When we arrived, I gave my mom a kiss on both of her cheeks and waved goodbye. My mom joked that she'd sort out any of the kids who dared to mess with me. I did feel quite shy, but I thought she was just joking. Turns out she wasn't. At lunchtime, I sat down at a random table, and suddenly this girl appeared and said, "What do you think you're playing at, sitting at our table?" I didn't even have time to reply before she picked up my lunch tray and threw it off the table right into the trash can. "I said, move," she said. Everyone was staring at us now. I was so upset, I just covered my face. I didn't want to be that crybaby in front of all these new people. But I couldn't help it. The tears started falling. Then something crazy happened. A voice boomed out through the cafeteria, saying, "Get away from her!" And then the next moment, I felt a hand reach out for my hand, and when I looked up, this gorgeous, tall boy was standing there looking at me when he picked me up on my feet. "Excuse me," the girl started, but the boy continued, "What is wrong with you? Do you have a screw loose or something? Your attitude is so gross. It'll make me puke. You disgust me, and I don't want to be friends with someone like you." She stood there with her mouth wide open as he grabbed my hand and walked away. I could hear her scoff from behind me, but her facial expression looked as if she'd lost. I took his hand and followed him out of the cafeteria, and that's when he introduced himself as Ryder. We sat down outside, and he asked me if I was new around here, and then he told me he loved my accent. And he even offered me half of his baguette and said, "Hey, come on, chin up. I'll be your friend, okay?" The best part is that the girl who bullied me had a major crush on him, so she was probably even angrier at me now. But I didn't care one bit. After that, I can't remember a time when we were apart. We were glued at the hip and did everything together. He taught me how to skateboard, and I taught him how to bake my famous pastries. We were like the dream team. He made me laugh so much, and he helped me become more confident. Day by day, I could tell I wanted to be more than just his friend, but I didn't dare tell him that. Then my 12th birthday rolled around, and my mom gave me a diary. She told me to write down all of my thoughts, and even my crushes so that I could reflect back on it one day. Then she winked at me and walked away. Ew! What was she talking about? I didn't have a crush. Did I? Okay, who am I kidding? I had the biggest crush ever on Ryder. Every time I saw him, I felt like there were a million butterflies in my stomach, and I woke up excited every day because I knew I'd get to see him. And then the time came for our school dance, and my friends were teasing me that I should go with Ryder. I kept telling them he was just my friend, but I couldn't fool them. They saw right through me. Later that day, Ryder invited me over to play video games, and as we were playing, he said, "Hey, wanna go to the dance with me?" I couldn't believe it. My heart was thumping in my chest, but I tried to play it cool and said, sure, I guess. And you know what? We had the best time ever at the dance. I was for sure on cloud 9, and afterwards I decided to journal about it in my diary. I never wanted to forget that night. So I wrote pages upon pages of how Ryder made me feel and how I loved him so much. Little did I know how everything was about to change. A few days later, Ryder came over to my house, and as soon as I saw him, I had the biggest grin on my face. But quickly that grin faded when Ryder said he had something to tell me. I have some bad news. My family and I are moving to London in a month. This is a joke, right? Come on, stop playing around, I said, trying to hide the worry in my voice. But he just stayed quiet, and by then I knew he wasn't joking. I couldn't hold back the tears, and Ryder just reached out and held me in his arms, comforting me. He told me it would be okay, and we'd still keep in touch, but I felt like my whole world was crumbling around me. This was the worst news of my life. We decided to make our last month together the most fun we'd ever had. We went surfing, skateboarding, stargazing, and even did karaoke. I never wanted that month to end, but of course, it did. On our last night together, we had a slumber party and stayed up all night waiting for the sun to rise. When it came time to say goodbye, he gave me a framed photo of the two of us and said if I ever felt sad, I could just look at it and remember the happy times. I wanted to tell him how I felt, but I couldn't, and so he left. I was so down that I ran upstairs and covered myself under the blanket and cried. Later that night, as usual, I was about to write my day in my diary when it was nowhere to be seen. I shouted at my mom and blamed her, but she just said I must have misplaced it. Now I had no Ryder and no diary. My life sucked. Summer quickly ended and it was time for high school. Even though I had my friends, my life wasn't the same without Ryder. But life goes on, and so eventually I tried to move on from Ryder. My friends told me that this guy Lucas had always had a crush on me, and maybe I should give him a chance. Well, soon we started dating, and even though I didn't have the same special connection with him as I had with Ryder, it was still fun, and it took my mind off of things. Fast forward 7 years, and Lucas and I were still together. The relationship wasn't great, but I had my dream job and was living in my dream loft apartment, so I couldn't complain too much. Plus, Ryder had drifted away from my mind. I decided it was time to really put some work into my relationship with Lucas. So one night, I told him I was working late and booked us a surprise trip to Paris. When I got home, I was so excited to tell Lucas, so I ran up to our bedroom, and to my complete horror, I found him lying in our bed kissing another girl. They didn't even notice me at first. So I screamed, "What are you doing?" Well, that got their attention, and the girl ran off. I thought Lucas would apologize, but he just said, "What do you expect? You won't give me what I want, and you make me wait for marriage." Then he stomped out of the room and said, "I can have any girl I want." I was so shocked. I just dropped to the floor and burst into tears. Finally, he showed me his true colors, and so I kicked him out. The next few weeks were some of the worst of my life, even worse than when Ryder moved to London. I felt so stupid for wasting so much time with Lucas. One night, I was particularly sad, and I suddenly remembered the framed photo Ryder had given me. I dug it out of the back of my wardrobe and held it close to my heart. My friends called me, tried to get me to go out with them. They did everything to help lift my mood up, but I wasn't interested. I just needed time alone to process everything. I thought to myself about how the only person I wanted to see now was Ryder, but where was he? How was he doing? I had no idea at all. Another depressing week went by. I was lounging on my couch, soullessly staring at the TV in boredom. Then suddenly there was a knock at the door. I went to open it, and oh my God, Ryder was standing there. Was this real or was I hallucinating? I was so surprised I just jumped into his arms and didn't want to let go. We must have stood there hugging for ages. And then suddenly Ryder said, "I have something of yours." When I let go of him, he was holding my diary. Turns out Ryder had been in touch with my mom, and when she told him about my cheating boyfriend, he decided to come to New York and cheer me up. And then reality hit. He'd taken my diary? What if he'd read it? Well, he had, and he said that's why he'd come to see me, because he wanted to talk to me about it all. I was blushing like crazy, and then he said, "I've always loved you, V. Even when we were kids, I've never stopped thinking about you, and I want to be with you." Then he reached over and kissed me, and I swear time just stopped. I'd been waiting for this moment my whole life. That week was like a haze of kissing and chatting and catching up on lost time. He told me about his ex-girlfriends, and I told him about Lucas and the cheating. Then I plucked up the courage and asked him if he'd like to go to Paris with me, seeing as the trip was already booked. Of course, he said yes, and the next week we flew there and had the best week of our entire lives. We went to the Eiffel Tower and even visited my old neighborhood where I'd grown up. It was magical. And then one day, Ryder said he had to do a bit of work and told me to go pamper myself at a local spa. When I was done, I had a text from him asking to meet him on the roof of our hotel. He was so romantic like that. I first went back to the hotel room where he'd laid out a black, sparkly dress for me to wear, and then I headed up to the roof. I couldn't believe it! There were almost 1,000 roses laid out to form a path, and at the end of the path was Ryder wearing a suit. "I love you, V," he began to say. "I always have, and I can't imagine a life without you. Will you marry me?" I gasped in shock and screamed, "Yes," at the top of my voice. I'd loved him ever since I was a kid, and now my dream of being together forever had finally come true. I guess it took us some time to reach this point, but the best things in life are worth waiting for, right?
Did you hear anything I just said? Oh gosh, sorry. And, no. I swear, I wasn't ignoring my friend on purpose. I was just distracted by that guy over there. Luca. I know, he's so handsome. The best part is, he's single. Yep, he broke up with his girlfriend a few months ago. And today was the day I, Michelle Summer, would make Luca Rodriguez my boyfriend. I mean, his heart had to have healed by now. Right? The only class I shared with Luca was French, so it was now or never. I wrote a love letter and asked the guy behind me to pass it to Luca. My heart started beating faster and faster until my teacher, Mrs. Davis, intercepted it. Who's passing letters in class? Nobody, huh? Let's see what's so important it can't wait until break. Wait! Was she seriously gonna read it in front of the whole class? I watched her slowly open the letter. Oh man, someone sweep in and stop her, please! Dear Luca, I was struck by the lightning of love right from the first time I saw you. I can't stop thinking about your cute smile and how I could drown in your deep blue eyes. I like you, and I was wondering if you like me too. The whole class burst out laughing, but luckily for me, Mrs. Davis left my name out. Phew! I glanced over at Luca. He looked so embarrassed. What a massive fail! As I waited for the bus, I felt kind of down about everything. Then it began to rain. Great! And to top it off, suddenly a car passed by and splashed me. I was literally wet from head to toes. I shouted out in anger. Are you kidding me? The car suddenly reversed, then stopped alongside me. I held my breath as the car window opened. Huh? Luca! What? I'm really sorry. Are you okay? OMG. Luca was speaking to me. Okay, calm down, Michelle. Just play it cool.
Oh, I'm fine. It was my fault. I shouldn't have sat at the bus station. Yeah, right. How smooth. Perfect. Now he'd think I was a weirdo and drive away. But he didn't. Instead, he smiled and said, "Get in. I'll give you a ride home." Me and Luca? Alone in a car? Thank you, universe! I excitedly got in. Oh, there were 2 other people in the back seat. He introduced them as his friends, Wesley and Aubrey. Aw, that was so nice of him to give us all a ride. While his 2 friends were listening to music in the back seat, I got to talk to Luca. That's when I found out that we had so much more in common than I ever expected. He's a big fan of DC Comics, and his favorite series were Arrow and The Flash. Just like me! Oh, how I wished this ride would never reach my house. That night, I couldn't do anything but lay in bed daydreaming about how unreal this whole thing was when my phone beeped. Holy Mother of God. Can anyone please hold my hand? Luca had texted me. Hey, Michelle. Sorry again for soaking you. I had fun talking to you. Was I dreaming? I pinched myself to check. Ouch. Nope. It was vividly real. Then one thing led to another. We chatted till late that night, and it repeated on the day after. And the day after, we basically talked every night. And then something wonderful happened. He asked me out on a date. Yes, you heard me right. A date! Eek! And the best part, he wanted to watch a horror movie. Everyone knows a guy only suggests this so the girl will hug him when she's scared. Okay, Luca. I like your way of thinking. He chose The Conjuring 3, so I had to binge watch part 1 and 2 in one night. It was so terrifying, but I was willing to do anything for Luca. D-Day arrived, and I spent hours picking out the cutest outfit. But then I arrived at the movie theater to see that Wesley and Aubrey were there too. Seeing my surprised look, Luca said, "Oh, I invited Wesley and Aubrey. It's gonna be a fun double date." Did he just say double date? Aw, so it's still a date. What a relief. He didn't mention to me before that Wesley and Aubrey were a couple. Phew. All the jump scares in the movie did get me to constantly hold onto Luca's arm. You'd think I'd be happy about this, right? But no, I wasn't. Why? Because I wasn't the only girl holding his arm. Aubrey was too. No, I'm not kidding. Hello? Wasn't her boyfriend also sitting next to her? Thank God the movie finally ended, as watching Aubrey clinging onto Luca was even creepier than the movie. After that, Luca suggested we go for Mexican food. I happily agreed. Only Wes and Aubrey tagged along too, of course. Then just before we ordered drinks, Wes received a call from his mom and had to leave. So the 3 of us were left having dinner together. It was an awkward atmosphere, as Aubrey kept bringing up all these inside jokes with Luca, while I sat there clueless and feeling like a third wheel. Well, that sucked, but at least I'll have some time alone with him on the ride home to make up for this, right? But then Aubrey latched onto his arm and in her sickly sweet voice asked, "Oh, it's so late out. Luca, you're driving me home, aren't you?" Luca turned to look at me awkwardly. Well, I didn't want to make a scene, so I said, "Don't worry, I can call my friend. She works right around the corner and her shift's about to end." Yep, that was a big fat lie. Anyway, he smiled and then they left, leaving me there all alone. I called an Uber and headed home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't stop thinking about how there was something fishy about their relationship. But then I got a text from Luca. "I had a great time today. I was wondering if you'd like to be my girlfriend? X." What? I had to rub my eyes and reread it. OMG. It really said girlfriend in the text. So that means Luca and Aubrey are just really close friends. That's all. I smiled while replying yes to him. So from that moment on, we became an official couple. It was awesome.
Well, except for one same old problem. He always brought his friends along. Every day. You see, Wesley and Aubrey went to another high school nearby. When I first met them, I thought Luca was just giving them a ride home because of the rain. But turns out, he drove them every freaking day. They often hang out afterwards also. So it meant that Luca and I never had alone time, not even half an hour. But that wasn't the worst part. Since Luca and I became official, Aubrey's become even bolder than before. For instance, one time at the park, Luca was eating a hot dog and got some mustard on his face. I laughed so hard and told him to stay still so I could take a picture of his cute face. But then Aubrey just turned to him, took out a tissue, and wiped the mustard away. And that wasn't all. She even drank from his cup, fed him snacks, and often gave him these googly eyes. You must be wondering how she could just blatantly flirt in front of Wes like that? Well, that girl really knew how to blindside him. Sometimes she kissed him on the cheek or stroked his hair. Ugh. So who did she actually like? Wes or Luca? I decided to do a test to find out. So I cuddled up close to Luca and leaned my head on his shoulder. And as expected, Aubrey was glaring at me with jealous eyes. Then, as she twirled a strand of her hair around her finger, she asked him, "Luca, Wes is busy this Friday, and I can't miss my dance lesson. Could you take me there and wait around till class is over?" Luca looked awkward, but not knowing what else to say, he muttered out, "Yeah, sure." Ugh! Now she's being too much. I needed to show her that Luca wasn't interested in her, and that she needed to back off. I know, that sounded a bit mean, but seriously, I needed to make a stand, or else I could lose my boyfriend. So on Friday evening, after Luca drove Aubrey to her dance class, I called him and said that my bike had a flat tire. Yeah, I may have punctured it myself, but it did the trick. He immediately picked me up and drove me home. Then I asked him to stay as Mum was making her signature lasagna. He couldn't say no to my mom, so he texted Aubrey to tell her to go home by herself because he was busy with me. Success! The next day, the four of us hung out at the cafe. Luca noticed Aubrey looking a bit tired, so he asked, "Hey Aubrey, are you okay?" "Oh, it's nothing. After dance class, I walked home and it rained all of a sudden. And I didn't bring an umbrella because I thought you would bring me home, so I got drenched." I glanced at Luca, and I could see he was feeling really guilty. After chatting a bit, I went to the restroom to freshen up. That's when I caught Aubrey dabbing powder on her face to make her look paler. I couldn't believe it. That's so not cool. I needed to confront this big fat liar. Do you seriously think guilt-tripping Luca will make him love you? I don't have to make him do anything, 'cause he already loves me. With a shocked look, I spluttered out, What did you just say?" "Oh, didn't he tell you? Luca and I used to date, but then I got tired of him and broke up with him. He was so devastated. Now, seeing him with you, I realized I made a mistake. He should be with me." My God, I couldn't believe what she just said. How could he hide this from me? I couldn't contain my anger anymore. "You're just a psycho who likes to play dirty tricks all the time." Then I stormed out of the restroom and bumped into Luca. "Did you just yell at Aubrey? Don't be so mean. She got sick because I hung out with you yesterday." Ugh, just great. Now Luca only overheard me screaming and thought I was the meanie now. But then I realized Aubrey was right. Luca was clearly still in love with her, 'cause if he wasn't, he would have asked for my side of the story first, before defending her so quickly. "Luca, I think we should break up, as you clearly still have feelings for Aubrey." Then without letting him say anything, I brushed past him and left. The next day, I decided to wake up early and go for a run, to try and clear my head. But as soon as I opened the door, I saw Luca standing there. I acted like he was invisible and was about to walk away, but he grabbed my arm and said, "Please, Michelle, at least hear me out." So we sat on the porch and Luca opened up to me. Turns out, it was true that Luca and Aubrey used to date, but they argued all the time, so he ended things with her and they stayed friends. He didn't mention their past relationship to me because he thought it wasn't a big deal, as it's all over now. He said that after I broke up with him, he spoke to Aubrey to figure out what had happened between me and her. Then she confessed that she was still in love with him and was only dating Wesley so she could be around him. Luca rejected her, and she started crying, which caused her makeup to smudge. That's when he realized I was right about her faking being sick, and he made it clear that her sneaky behavior meant they couldn't be friends anymore.
Michelle, I'm sorry. I should have seen what she was doing and put you first. I promise it won't happen again.
Poor Luca. I couldn't stand seeing him looking so gloomy. To be fair, all he did was just trying to be a good friend to Aubrey. He deserved another chance, right? So, smiling, I gave him a big hug. From that moment on, things between us were great again. Wesley eventually found out that Aubrey was only using him to get close to Luca, so he broke up with her. Our love story was surely a bumpy ride, but it was all worth it, 'cause I truly love Luca, and I also love how he cares about his friends and wants to spend time with them. So I only asked him for some alone time every Friday. Talking of Fridays, I can't wait for this one, as Wesley told me that Luca's prepared something special for me. Eek! I'm so excited! Sorry guys, but you won't know what it is, as my story has to end here. Maybe next time!
Please, please help my son. My son is having a tough time at school because of her. He isn't himself anymore.
I'm a ninja, not a babysitter.
Just till graduation. I'll double the pay. Triple, if that's what it takes. He refuses to leave that school and it's eating him alive.
If you're wondering why that man was almost on his knees, here's the deal. I'm Zoe, a ninja. His kid was probably getting steamrolled by high school life, and he wanted me to protect him. Cute, huh? But listen, I'm a certified ninja. What I need is top-tier chaos. So stick around. You won't believe what happened next. I was raised by Akora, who adopted me from the orphanage. And no, it wasn't all doom and gloom. The old man was a riot. He let me train like a warrior and goof off like a kid. I was also super strong, thanks to his constant training. We went on missions together, and my biggest dream was to earn the Master Ninja Badge, like him. That meant completing the toughest missions. So when Master Akora suggested I go undercover in a high school to protect that guy's son from his crazy bully, I already said no, Dad. It's a fat paycheck, sure, but you know I hate school.
That man is desperate, Zoe. I'm too old to sneak into school bathrooms. So, you're plan A.
Can't the boy just switch schools?
Maybe. Ask him yourself. Also, this might be good for your social skills.
I have skills. Socializing just isn't one of them. Okay, guys, I may have left out the real reason I didn't want this mission. Smells. I couldn't handle them. Ink, perfume, cafeteria funk. They were my kryptonite. I quit regular school and started homeschooling because of them. Ugh. Taking this mission meant facing a full-on nasal nightmare.
Changed your mind?
What happened to the cool missions? Like fighting mafia lords or chasing stolen artifacts. I can't do this.
Shame. Could have been your shot at the Master Ninja Badge. Guess I'll call someone more capable.
Find someone else? Nah, I got this.
You said you can't.
I will do it. There was no way I'd lose my chance at the badge, even if it meant surviving a high school. And it smells. My determination took a serious hit the moment I stepped into this chaotic school. Between the sweaty teens and overpowering scents, I felt like I might hurl. The second I entered, a flying blob came right at my head. I ducked like a pro. Too bad Sonia, the terrorizing bully I was here to keep an eye on, wasn't as lucky. OMG! Who launched this gunk? At her question, all eyes turned to... Finally! The reason I was here. Ian.
I'm sorry. It's just advanced collagen with SPF. Just testing it out and...
Spare me the nerd blab. Still on your save your vampire dad quest, huh? We should just take him out to the sun and watch him vaporize. everyone started laughing, but I couldn't even figure out what was funny. Hey, he apologized. Oh, you're new here, aren't you? You're going to wish you never messed with me. First, I can't blame myself for what happened next. She was way too close, and her perfume was intense. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I have a smell thing. Your perfume just... You're dead meat. I braced for a fight, but Ian dragged me out of the classroom and into the school lab that just reeked of chemicals. Then he started talking. Okay, newbie, we're officially doomed. Sonia doesn't forgive. Trust me, I know her too well. We need a plan. And kept talking. All right, you sneak out, get a canvas, paint. I'm sorry, Queen Sonia. No, wait, I'll blow up her photo, add in chocolates, maybe a marching band. At some point, I stopped listening and just fed my eyes. Up close, the guy was hotter than hot. What? A dramatic apology to Sonia? She's tough, but not happening. And I already said sorry. You can stop shaking. She's not Medusa. You really don't know Sonia. But hey, I like the fire. I'm Ian Flake. Zoe, rule number 1 of being a master ninja, never tell anyone your full name. What's with a hurling? First aid jitters? No, it's Sonia's perfume. Strong smells make me queasy. So it's not just me. Back when she was my girlfriend, I legit considered wearing nose plugs. She's your ex? Yeah, broke up with her because she's a big meanie, so she's after my head. Adverse to strong smell. I think I've got a fix. Before I could blink, he turned mad scientist. I've been in charge of this lab since senior high. Best part of schooling here. What's special about this stinky place? The equipment. Top notch. I'm actually working on something for my dad. He has this skin condition. Sunlight really hurts him. That's when it clicked. His dad, the one who came to me, wore that long cloak and wide-brimmed hat. Is that why they call him Vampire Dad? Yeah. Spray this around your collar. It'll neutralize strong scents. Trust me. Oddly enough, trusting him was a breeze. As I sprayed, the weird scent seemed to vanish. It works! Genius, right? 100%! I happen to like geniuses. What do you say? Friends? Friends. Ian had no idea he just solved my biggest mission obstacle. Grateful, I vowed to have his back, both in and out of school, until he finished that formula for his dad. Sonia, meanwhile, seemed to have made her own vow to be my daily headache. Some days later, Ian and I were on our way to class when Sonia's minion dumped her drink on my shirt. What? Seriously? Oops, my bad. Maybe avoid oversized sweaters next time. Unless you've got body insecurities. Body insecurities? Huh! As expected, their jaws dropped. All those training sessions had sculpted my body into a work of art, if I say so myself. It's not that impressive. In a fit, Sonia slipped and fell into the product of her schemes. Oops. Way to drink juice. Do you always pull your clothes off randomly? I just want to give Sonia a good look at this masterpiece. I mean, come on. I clearly have the best body, right? Wait, was he blushing? The next morning, after my last face-off with Sonia, I got to class to find everyone acting strange. I ignored it and went to sit, but Ian dived at me out of nowhere. Ian, what are you? Look at your seat! My eyes went wide at the glue-covered chair, and I didn't even have to ask who was the culprit. How dare you ruin my fun, Ian? Just stop, Sonia. If you want to keep messing with someone, pick me, but leave Zoe alone. Seeing Ian stand up for me made warmth spread inside me, but somehow that feeling scared me. Oh, I see now. First you give her your jacket, next you're saving her. You like her, right? Watch. I'll make you pay. She attacked, and I defended. Before things could escalate further, a teacher walked in. Sonia, detention, now. Turns out, Ian had already reported her glue prank with picture evidence. The class cheered, revealing that most of them disliked her, but just kept quiet because her uncle owned the school. Sonia was humiliated. That day, rumors about me spread fast. Some said I was a secret assassin, a kung fu prodigy, even an alien. But it wasn't the rumors that bothered me. It was Ian. That move, how did you do that? You were like a ninja, and the way your blue eyes glowed. Do you know how lovely they are? Sonia was right. He liked me, and honestly, I was starting to like him too. But falling for the client is against the rules. I wanted that badge, so no distractions allowed. I know a little self-defense. I could teach you. Next time she tries anything, you'll be ready to kick her butt. If I could make him strong enough to fight for himself, maybe I could walk away without feeling guilty. But...
What? No way, I don't fight. I don't hit girls. Or anyone.
Was this guy serious? He was too nice. It was unbelievable. For days, I spied on him, hoping to find a mean streak, a sparkle of villain energy I could ignite against Sonia. But Ian was just kind. No darkness. Just maddeningly kind. And that made it harder to fight the feelings growing inside me. Then, one day, Ian skipped school. Just one day without that dorky smile, and I lost it. I ran straight to his house after school, told myself I was just checking up on him. But deep down, I was worried sick. His father, who hired me for the job, opened the door. And boy, was he shocked to see me.
You're welcome.
Relax, I'm on the job. Just checking in. Remember, he can't know we've met. Just then, Ian came out, ice pack pressed to his head.
Zoe? What are you doing here? How did you... Your friend's here? Okay, I'm leaving now. Bye.
Ian's dad practically ran away. I guess my presence was too intimidating or something. He invited me in for lunch, but watching him cook was like watching a kitten rustle a crocodile. Why did you skip school, and what happened to your head?
Small home accident. Last thing I needed was Sonia mocking my swollen forehead.
She'd say it's your second brain, and it's the smarter one.
Wouldn't be the worst thing that's been said about me. You have to stay for lunch, please.
Move over. I've got this. I don't know what demon of domesticity possessed me, but I took over the stove like I knew what I was doing. Spoiler alert, I didn't.
Did you just deep fry eggs?
I've never cooked before, okay?
Seriously? So what do you do for fun?
Would I sound like a maniac if I said fighting bad guys in the dark? Yeah, probably. Reading?
You just lied. You don't have bookworm energy. Okay, that's it. We're hanging out this weekend.
Despite my protests, Ian ate every bite like I'd made him a Michelin star meal. It was so adorable. True to his word, he took me out that weekend. Junk food, laughs. It was the best day of my teenage life. I forgot about everything else and just lived. So, you want to be a scientist?
Yep, I want to make something everyone needs but never thought of. What about you?
I'm still, figuring it out.
Maybe modeling? You're stunning. Agencies would fight for you. Your eyes alone, they shine like blue bulbs.
And just like that, he pulled me out of mission mode and into a daydream I didn't want to end. Until reality crashed in, leading to the ultimate showdown. A few days later, while trailing Ian, I saw him cornered by Sonia and her lackeys in an alley. You thought you could get away with reporting me, right?
Leave me alone.
Oh, crybaby Ian. Here's the plan. I'm smashing that car and pinning it on you. Next time, think twice before dumping someone like me.
You're terrible. Go ahead, smash the car. I'll just say I didn't do it.
The car belongs to my dad. You're looking at expulsion, job loss for your parents? Bad times ahead, Ian.
Please, don't!
My body moved on its own, catching the rock midair.
Who are you?
Your worst nightmare. Get her, boys! Her lackeys charged, but one look at me gearing up sent them running.
What do you want?
This was my moment. Time to end Sonia's reign and teach her a lesson. I just needed a bit of muscle show. Listen closely. If you ever bother Ian again, just as a little demo, I cut her fancy phone.
My phone!
Let that be a reminder. I'll ruin everything you care about if you mess with Ian. Or anyone again. Here, at school, anywhere.
Daddy!
Sonia bolted out of there like she was auditioning for the Olympics, leaving me with Ian, who looks like he just met either an angel or the devil. You shouldn't let others push you around like that. Confident that I didn't blow my cover in any way, I jumped away before he could reply. Sonia transferred to another school after that. Without her, school life was so much easier. Ian was a happier version of himself now. He'd successfully made the lotion for his dad, and with some publicity from his now-healed father, it was now highly in demand. I was happy for him, but I was also sad because, with Sonia gone, my mission was over. Leaving the school meant leaving Ian, and that weighed on me.
What's with the glum face? You nailed your mission. Tomorrow, you meet the client, collect your final payment, and earn your badge.
I know. I have to quit school now.
Oh, you like the school that much?
It's not just the school.
Ah, love. You've fallen for Ian.
I couldn't even deny it anymore. I'm sorry, Dad. I know it breaks the rules. I didn't mean for it to happen. And now, I just feel weird. Like I was paid to care about him. I don't even want the money anymore.
Oh, my sweet girl. That's not weakness. That's your heart growing bigger. Return the deposit if it makes you feel better. I'll arrange a meeting for you and Ian's dad tomorrow.
Thanks, Dad. Though I was rejecting the payment for the mission, I had no plans to confess my feelings to Ian. I felt he would never accept my lifestyle. Ian's dad agreed to meet me by the lakeside. But as I approached, I wondered, why was he still wearing that cloak? Wasn't he healed already? I didn't get the chance to ask.
I heard you didn't want the money. Why, Zoe?
I can't accept it, sir. I was more than happy to do it out of love.
All right, I'll spill the beans to my boy then. Let him know you're in love.
Wait, no, please don't.
Too late. He already heard.
When he turned around, my heart nearly somersaulted into the lake. Ian, how in the world?
You didn't close your eyes the night in the alley. I told you, your eyes have a sparkle I've never seen before. So, what are you? An assassin? A ninja? Secret agent? Spy?
I...
Doesn't matter. I love you. And now that you've confessed your feelings, no takebacks.
You're not scared of me?
Scared? Zoe, I'm amazed by you. The very first day in the lab, I knew you were different. Strong, brave, absolutely
Hi, I'm Addison, but all my friends call me Addie. I'm just an ordinary girl who doesn't have any particular talents, but there is one thing I do have. That is... Oh, why don't we just watch the video to see what it is? This is my older sister, Olivia. She's beautiful, isn't she? She's also an amazing singer and has a talent for art. She can pretty much draw anything. I mean, I don't know how my parents could have such a perfect daughter like her, then have me. But I'm fine with that. Olivia was all about winning trophies and medals, while I was happy with the ice cream and ton of snacks my parents gave me for getting a B on my math exam. Hey, Addie, my baby. Guess who's got some new trendy clothes? Oh, Mom, Dad, I don't like these things. Why are you buying so much? It's such a waste of money. However, Mom's desperate look made me cave, so I reluctantly grabbed a random item and went to try it on. Oh, it's a crop top. I stared at myself in the mirror. Okay, so my parents' dumbfounded expressions made their feelings pretty clear. I looked ridiculous. See, I told you already. I'm way too short to wear tops like this. Right at that moment, Olivia walked by. I immediately ran over to her. I think you should have this top. It'll bring out your nice figure. You'll look so cute in it. Mom shook her head. No. If Olivia wears this, everyone will see her navel. Isn't that the point of crop tops? Then Dad chimed in.
Anyway, Liv, where are you off to in such a hurry? It's not that nonsense model club again, is it?
Speaking of clubs, is the school dance club still recruiting? You should join. You'll get in for sure. My sister rolled her eyes, then left, slamming the door behind her. I loved my sister, but she just seems to find me annoying. She was like the ice queen, always shutting me out. She never allows me to borrow her clothes or to touch her stuff. And if I ever try to go into her room, she freaks out. It's not that she's mean as such, but she tends to act like I don't even exist. It's okay. I mean, I'm kinda used to it. I live my own life and she lives hers. So that's why when I got my first cell phone and started to use social networks, I didn't try to search for her profiles. though I knew she was on all those platforms. That evening, my mom asked me to go upstairs to call Olivia for dinner. No answer. So I began pushing the door open. She suddenly appeared from the bathroom and yelled, "Hey, what are you doing? You know you're not allowed in my room." "I knocked, but you didn't answer. Mom says it's dinner time." She hissed at me and shooed me away. Ugh! Why did she have to treat me like I was some pest? The way she was so weird about her room was annoying. Maybe she was hiding something in there? Nah, probably I was just overthinking this. Olivia was always like this. Life went on, and my sister, well, she continued to distance herself from me. But then one weekend, I walked downstairs to find her cheerfully humming a song as she danced around the kitchen. When she saw me, she smiled and said, "Morning, sis. Come sit here. I made you breakfast." Okay, this was weird. I cautiously sat down and kept looking at her. Why are you so happy? And where are Mom and Dad? Mom and Dad just rushed off on some work thing. Then she put the plate in front of me, grinned, then continued. Mom made cookies this morning and told you to take them to Grandma's. Tell her I said hi. Oh, you're not coming with me? No can do. Sorry, I've got work to do. She continued to look at me, and I got the feeling she wanted me to hurry up. Before I'd even finished my toast, she passed me my jacket and bundled me out of the door. Having no choice, I made my way to Granny's while in deep thoughts about how odd this was. Until I realized that I didn't even have the cookie bag with me. I'd left it at home. Gosh! I immediately rushed back. But, why was there a strange car parked outside my house? I lingered back and watched as a middle-aged man got out of the car. Before he even got to the door, Olivia opened it and smiled at him. I dove behind a bush so I could carry on watching. Huh? Why was he handing her flowers and a gift box? She happily took them from him and even leaned into his ear and said something. Oh my God! So this explains my sister's strange behavior. They're a couple, aren't they? I never thought that my sister would be interested in an old man like this. Shocking. But wait, what if he's deceiving her? As Olivia may look sharp, but she's actually very innocent. If that was the case, I would beat him black and blue. But this was just my speculation. I can't hastily act without knowing the truth. So I decided not to let them know that I was there, and quietly entered the house through the back door to get the cookie bag. Later that day when I arrived home, my sister was back to her Ice Queen self. She was cooking in silence, so I told her Grandma said hi, and she just grunted and carried on stirring her soup. I needed to find out what was actually going on. The perfect opportunity arose a few weeks later, when Mom and Dad went away on a weekend trip. I told Olivia I was meeting some friends for a picnic, but this was a lie. I actually hid in my faithful hiding spot and watched. As expected, the old man showed up and Olivia let him inside. The door was ajar, so I tiptoed inside and heard them laughing in the living room. I peeked in, and to my astonishment, my sister was sitting on the couch wearing the weirdest outfit ever. It was those kinds of clothes that only catwalk models wear. And most of all, she had this heavy makeup on and looked like a totally different person. The strange man was sitting next to her. Both of them were looking at her phone and laughing happily. Oh gosh, now everything was clear. From her reserved nature to her seemed-to-be secret room, it was all so she could continue to hide this age difference love story. I didn't know how to react now. I just kind of felt bad for her because she had to hide it. I mean, this was her home, and we were her family. We might not have been close, but she was my big sister, and I wanted her to be happy. If this love was real, then I fully supported her. And if this guy turned out to be bad, well, then I'd protect her to the end. My parents returned that evening, so I set up a family movie night. A great idea for family bonding, right? I chose a romantic movie in which the main actress is much younger than her boyfriend. In the middle of the movie, I turned to my parents and asked, "Mom, Dad, if you were their parents, would you allow that relationship?" They gave me confused looks. Then Dad immediately asked,
"Hey, Addie, don't tell us that you're in love with an old man, huh?"
This startled me, but before I could say anything, the doorbell rang. I was about to go open the door, just to avoid answering Dad's question, but Olivia was faster. Not long after that, she turned back and shouted at me,
"Addie, how dare you touch my phone?" "What's up, Liv? Who's at the door?"
"Go ask your dear daughter Addison." She gave me a dirty look, then stormed up to her room. My parents immediately bombarded me with loads of questions.
"What's happening here? Who was the one ringing the bell? Why that manner of Olivia?"
Okay, the one who rang the bell was Olivia's boyfriend. So, earlier, when Olivia left her phone in the kitchen, I noticed that there was a message from a man named Henry Davis. I immediately searched for him on Facebook and found out that this was the same guy who'd been visiting her. So, I used her phone to text him, telling him to come around at 8 p.m. I thought it would be better if Olivia could make her relationship public with our parents. But, Hayes, it seems she didn't take it very well. Anyway, now I had no choice but to tell my parents everything. Their faces dropped, and without saying anything, they ran upstairs and banged on Olivia's door. But there was no reply. Instead, all of us heard a rattling sound from the back door, and Olivia had fled. Our parents' faces turned red, while I felt so guilty as I not only wasn't able to help her, but only worsened the situation. The next day, Olivia still hadn't returned. She also didn't show up for school, which caused my parents to freak out. Then I suddenly thought of Henry. Right. Why didn't I think of asking him from the beginning? So I immediately contacted Henry and asked him to help find Olivia. That afternoon, when I just got home from school, I saw Henry driving off. There was a note stuck to the door saying Olivia was fine, with an address below, and it also said if we come there at 9 a.m., we'll see Olivia. The next morning, we showed up earlier than scheduled. Huh? It was a studio, and just like Henry said, Olivia was there. She looked so glamorous and was so busy prepping for a photo shoot that she didn't seem to notice us. Henry welcomed us and started explaining everything that made my parents, as well as me, speechless. Turns out, the truth was far from what I thought. He was not her boyfriend. Instead, he's her manager. He saw Olivia's potential and guided her to become a photo model and a TikToker. The flowers and gifts were from the brand she was working with. And the other day, she wore that outfit and makeup for a TikTok video. After the shoot was over, we walked over to her. But she took one look at us and ran away. I managed to catch up with her, then said, "Sis, why didn't you just tell us the truth? We're your family. We'll always be on your side." "On my side? Really? You have no idea what it's like to be an outsider. It doesn't matter how many competitions I win. I'm invisible, while you get praised for just getting an okay grade on a math test. I want to be a model, but they don't want that for me. They want me to be miserable. I'd rather leave that house to do what I love." I was dumbfounded, and so were Mom and Dad, who by this point had caught up with us and heard everything she'd just said. Dad hugged Olivia, then in an emotional voice said,
Olivia, it's not that we forbid you from doing what you want. We were just worried for you. We just know that this industry can be complicated, and we don't want you to get hurt. That's right. And it's not true that we love Addie more than you. You just excel at everything, and we just didn't want Addie to feel insecure. We're really sorry, Olivia. We all love you.
Oh no, Mom, don't worry. I never felt that way. Actually, I've always admired Olivia, and it made me sad when she ignored me. Olivia burst out crying, and our whole family hugged each other tightly.
Sorry to interrupt, but you must have had some idea about Olivia being an internet star already, right? I mean, it's easy to tell from her social networks.
I shyly said, I don't follow any of her accounts. I thought she just wanted me out of her way. Henry then patted my head and showed us Olivia's social media accounts. And wow, she had millions of views and followers. We all watched some of her TikTok videos together, and she totally rocked it. Seeing how much this meant to her, my parents came round to the idea of her being a model, and they even thanked Henry for helping her. Then Olivia came closer to me.
Hey, Addie. I'm sorry for being so cold in the past. Turns out, you love me so much and will support me regardless. At least now if I really fall in love with an old man, I don't have to worry, right?
Then everyone laughed. Oh, even though my plan didn't, well, go exactly as intended, I still call it a success, because it all ended out great in the end. You thought it was all finished, huh? Nope, not yet. There's one more thing I want to show you guys. That night, for the first time, Olivia let me go inside her room. Wow, it was like a mini studio with expensive flashlights, a ring light, and a camera. And her clothes and makeup collection were super impressive. Oh, do you remember what I said at the beginning of the video about being an ordinary girl? Well, that hasn't changed. But now I can confidently say that there is one thing I do have. And that's an awesome big sister who loves me unconditionally. Yes, it's me, Kate, here again. When I traded places with my doppelganger to avoid being stuck in some ghastly summer school, I didn't expect to end up penniless and having to work in some dusty old homestay. But I suppose it wasn't all bad, as I got to meet Bond. So imagine my surprise when I discovered that not only was he a runaway rich kid like me, but I also caught him hanging out with moi. Well, the other me. Ugh! I hired her to pretend to be me, not to be with my man. Looks like it was time to return to my normal life.
Miss, without a letter of invitation, I can't let you in.
Are you kidding me? Why do I need an invitation to enter my own home? How could they not recognize me? Right at that moment, Clara gracefully got out of a luxury car and entered my house. I shouted over to her, but on seeing me, she gave me a confused look. Then she whispered something to the security guard and went straight inside.
Sorry, Miss Kate doesn't know you. Please leave.
Huh? How dare she? She wasn't Miss Kate. I was. Did she really think she could treat me like this? Ugh! I'd show her who the real rich girl was. But as I was leaving, I caught a glimpse of myself in a car window. Oh my gosh, I looked horrendous. My once bouncy curls, perfectly made-up face, and glamorous clothing were no more. Instead, I had a greasy ponytail, my skin was completely bare, and I was in worn old clothes. No wonder the security guards didn't recognize me. I barely recognized my own self. Well, well, well. How comfortable it is to be back in my room, doll up again, and just take back what's mine. How did you get in here? This is my room, remember? I can run away by myself, so you bet I can sneak back into my own room. Listen here, fake me. Mission's over. It's time you left. What mission? Are you crazy? Get your filthy hands off my stuff! Wow, immerse yourself in the role much, huh? Enough. Now give me my life back. What if I don't? Don't you dare! You think my parents won't recognize me? Seeing as I've been impersonating you for an entire month without question, I doubt it. Besides, they're on a month-long business trip in Dubai. So, who will help you now, huh? OMG, she was so arrogant, unruly, and obnoxious. Worst of all, she reminded me of someone. Me! Well, the old me. Why didn't I realize before how awful I actually was? Ignoring Claire's defiant face, I took out my phone and made a FaceTime call to my parents. They had to spot it was me straight away, right? Wrong. They gave us both looks of shocked confusion, and they couldn't seem to tell us apart. So they told the two of us to stay at home for the time being while they made arrangements to come back. Huh, is it that hard to distinguish your own daughter from a hick? But anyway, she'll be out of here soon enough. The next morning, we went back to school. Claire looked so trashy in her tiny miniskirt. Jeez, this wasn't a nightclub. Oh, Kate, you look outstanding. Where did you buy it from? That's it. My friends will always be able to tell me apart from a fraud. But hang on. No! They were moving toward Clara. Huh? Are they actually praising her? Wow, there's another Kate here, but it's a faulty version. A lame one. My panicked feeling increased as all my friends and Clara burst out laughing. You guys don't recognize me? I'm the real Kate, the one you all idolize, the trendsetter around here. Everyone looked at me in bewilderment, and then back to Clara. Look at her pathetic appearance. She's just trying to be a copy of me. After that, Clara and her friends left. Jeez, all it took was one summer away for Clara to turn into me. Ugh, why doesn't anyone recognize me? Seeing Clara living my life with my friends was driving me crazy. I was now seen as the copycat version of my own self. Ugh, no way was I losing to this crafty charlatan. So the next day, I decided to show everyone how charismatic I was. After all, form is temporary, but class is permanent. And soon, everyone would realize who the real Kate was, right? I waited until Clara was out of the way, then I went over to my group and started recalling some of our old stories that only the real me could possibly know. When Clara returned, oh my, she looked furious. Ha! One day, when I just entered the cafeteria, I saw my group making a nerdy girl run errands for them. Poof, your mother is the school's measly janitor, so you two are just our dog's body. Now hurry up and go get us some ketchup. When the girl was bringing it to them, one of them tripped her foot and made her face fall down on the plate of sauce. The whole group burst into laughter. I rushed to help her up and scowled at the clique chic girls. They may have looked stylish, but beneath it all, they were monsters. But worst of all, it was my fault, as it was my group. I'd basically created them. What's wrong with her mom being a janitor? That doesn't mean she has to serve you guys. As I can see, all of your legs and arms are working fine. So go get stuff yourself. Wow, look who it is. Do you all believe she's just a lousy replica of mine now? The true clique chic Kate wouldn't blurt out such nonsense. Clique chic all looked me up and down, then gave me disgusted looks. Too much of a saint. What a hypocrite. Kate would never say that. Obviously, she's the fake one. Those whispers made me so angry that I turned as red as the ketchup. Fine, pretend to be me all you want, but you and I both know I'm the real me, and I'm better than ever. You won't be able to keep up that act for much longer. And then to the surprise of the others, I stormed off. That night, social media was awash with my news. Can you believe I was actually being mocked for being the copycat while Clara was being praised? Talk about ridiculous. I scrolled through my old photos and scanned over some of the thousands of likes and compliments. I'd lived in the admiration of everyone. Ugh. Maybe I needed to go back to being the arrogant and snobby old Kate and then everything would be over, right? Only I couldn't do it. I couldn't be that heartless and selfish version of myself anymore. So how could I end this whole mess of my own making? There was another way. If there's only one Kate who showed up, there wouldn't be any more fakers. Oh, seems like it's going to be a really good day at school today. But such a shame that our sweet Clara might not be able to join us. Everyone greeted me warmly as they thought that the imposter who was smeared on social media yesterday had been too embarrassed to show her face. Even so, I didn't want to hang out with these stuck-up mean girls anymore. The clique chic group should be disbanded. As I was deep in thoughts, out of nowhere, a nerd blocked my way with a bouquet of flowers. He timidly held them out to me, and people began buzzing and pointing. The girls in the group took pictures of him and urged me forward. "That's our Kate with her irresistible charms."
Someone's essay's ready for next week.
I hesitated, not knowing what to say. I didn't want to accept love from someone I didn't like. People started to frown at my silence. Then a few voices of doubt arose.
Why doesn't she accept the bouquet as usual?
Perhaps she's not? I saw red. Suddenly, I found this whole pretending to flirt with someone just to have them do our homework absurd. And above all else, it wasn't fair to him. You don't have the guts to do it, do you? Because you're not Kate. Startled, I turned around to see Clara taking the bouquet of flowers from the nerd's hand. I snatched it back angrily. He likes me, not you. He likes Kate, and I'm Kate. That Clara was just so shameless to say that. Did she really think she could be me? Did she think being mean and snobby made her the it girl? How shallow of her. Yes, if it was Kate from the past, I would have received that bouquet and made him do my homework. But the present Kate won't do that. Do it yourself. Stop relying on others to do everything for you. As for you, Clara, let me tell you this. Despite your best efforts, you'll never be me. Once a liar, always a liar, you counterfeit. I was done here. I was the real me, and if they couldn't see that, then whatever. So I walked away. Suddenly, a hand pulled me back. It was the nerd. Sorry, but I really don't like you in that way.
You really don't have feelings for me? Are you sure?
Upon his words, he took off his wig, glasses, and the mole on his face. Bond? Is it really you? I was so shocked that I couldn't believe my eyes. Bond handed me the bouquet and said,
You won't say no, will you?
Of course. How could I say no? I led him to an empty classroom to talk. Why are you here? And what's with the disguise?
After I left the homestay, I went back home. My parents did what they always do, and tried to make out like money could solve everything by throwing an extravagant party. I was lingering out of the way when, to my surprise, you walked in with your family.
Huh? What party? Oh, he must mean Clara. He continued.
I went over to talk to you, but you acted like you'd never met me before, so it didn't take me long to work out this girl wasn't you. I was worried, so I called the homestay and they said you'd left. Determined to solve this mystery, I went to your school and found everyone was in a frenzy, as out of nowhere 2 Kates had appeared. Both of them were it girls and nothing like the homestay Kate I knew. So, in order to suss out the real one, I disguised myself. And my plan worked. As here you are.
You're such a trickster! But I still have one question. Why did you suddenly leave the homestay that day? So, turns out his passion for marine life led him to run away from his disapproving parents and go to a coastal homestay. Only, when he realized from the newspaper that his parents were looking for him, he didn't want to get the homestay into trouble, so he returned home. You should have at least said goodbye to me. I was so down when you left like that. Did you know that?
Kate, I'm truly sorry. I never meant to upset you. Actually, I'm kinda crazy about you.
After that, Bond drove me home. And guess what? Looks like my parents were back earlier than expected. As for the fake Clara, she'd already fled the scene with a load of my clothes and makeup.